So, what brainstorm? Do you want to start this thing?
Yeah, give me 1 second. All right. Salutations, Legion of Doom, and I forgot to send out. Oh no, wait, I already sent out the tweet. Okay. Salutations, Legion of Doom. Welcome to Podcast The Storm, where socially awkward outcasts, crazy weirdos, and all around nerds convene to talk and debate all things pop culture. With me, as always, is my co host, Dalton L. Mortimer, aka The Authenticator.
Hello. You do know that you constantly mispronounce my last name, right?
I was always curious if I was pronouncing that wrong.
Like
Um,
I don't mean to mention it, but I just wondered if you were like even aware that you
I,
that
I
you
was
were
I was
pronouncing it
always
wrong.
worried if I was pronouncing it wrong, and
Yeah, no,
I
it's Mortimer.
Mortimer,
Yeah.
my mistake.
Anyway, yes.
All right.
And also with us we have the enigmatic comic book enthusiast Mr. E, 2099.
Hello, everybody. It's good to be back.
And I'm sure, as everyone knows by the title of this video or stream, we will be talking about Gotham and stuff. We'll probably blow right past a lot of the Gotham stuff, but let's just start it. So, background: I've seen only a little bit of Gotham. I've watched the whole last season. Dalton, what is your background with Gotham?
I was kind of just casual on it for a while there, kind of like I was with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. And then in preparation for this, I binged a lot of it. So I don't really remember many great or memorable moments, but I do like know all the things that happen and stuff. And I just finished watching the finale like at 5 o'clock today. So
Hmm. All right, what is your background with Gotham?
I've watched everything but the last season.
Okay. And you don't care about spoilers, right?
No.
Okay. So first off, we're going to talk about the finale, which came out Thursday, I believe.
yeah.
Sorry, I was eating a tater tot. Okay. So, first impressions, I liked it. I just I think there was a lot of stuff that could have been done better, but all in all, they did with what they had.
Yeah, I kind of have to echo that same sentiment. They did as much as they could with what they had. I kind of wish this had been where it started rather than where it ended. Because given the interesting things they did actually manage to work in here, seeing like where we are at in the finale transition into like a year one era or even just Golden Age Batman would have been much more interesting as a Batman series, I think.
Hmm. Okay, so kind of going into specifics. Um, Don, do you want to help me out here?
Um, I okay, yeah. The best part for me was when they had the Joker basically do what he did in Dark Knight Returns and have him sort of um fake a catatonic state in the same way that Elijah Price did in Glass, if you guys have seen that movie. Um
Absolutely.
yeah, it really is. It kind of the two are actually kind of similar in the same way it's like a more quote unquote grounded and realistic um rendition of superheroics. I think though that Gotham could have afforded to go a little bit to kind of go out with a bang as opposed to just kind of going out.
Yeah, I agree. I think big thing is major. I like the costumes for overall the major characters. I like
Yeah,
how they
no,
look.
seeing all the costumes finally come into place was nice. I especially liked Oswald Cobblepot finally kind of embracing his inner penguin and kind of resembling the Burgess Meredith '60s incarnation probably the most.
Mm-hmm.
Is that the one from the Adam West Batman?
Correct.
Yeah. Major thing. I liked Riddlers. Actually, a lot.
My problem with the Riddler is he looked spot on, but because of how they handled the Riddler throughout the series, he just wasn't the Riddler. He was the he was the trickster from the Flash Rogues Gallery. He wasn't really a Riddler. There was no genius level intellect there. He was just various flavors of crazy. And various flavors of crazy can work. See also the Joker, who was played excellently in Gotham by
Cameron Monaghan.
Cameron Monaghan. But the the Riddler, the difference between the Joker and the Riddler is the Joker um does intelligent things for the sake of craziness. The Riddler does crazy things for the sake of intelligence.
Eric Breen popped up. Hello, Eric.
Hello, Eric.
And he says Gotham did go out with a bang in season 4. Then Fox grudgingly gave them 12 more episodes.
Then one thing I got to say about the Riddler is that the Riddler is supposed to give you a epic battle of the wits. Um, you're supposed to have to find some way to outthink him, to solve his riddles, and somehow get one step ahead of him. But I don't. You ever really get that
Yeah,
in
no,
Gotham?
he's supposed to be a puppet master. He's supposed to be kind of honestly, if you wanted to do a more grounded and realistic version of the Riddler, just basically copy a PG-13 version of Saw from the Saw movies, because that's kind of who the Riddler is, the guy who sets up the elaborate traps and the elaborate riddles and the things you have to know, like absurd historical trivia to solve or things like that. That's the Riddler. There was
It's funny you mention that because I actually have written. I'm actually writing a character like that for. I think I've mentioned it before for my Batman-esque character.
yeah. No, that makes more sense. With this kind of wanting to kind of blend Batman back into the sort of pulpy mob slash cop procedural vibe they're going for in Gotham. If you wanted to do that and you wanted to use the Riddler, good on you for doing it, because Riddler's one of my favorites and I wish he got more recognition. But do him as a mad genius who always one step ahead of you, kind of like super villain version of Hannibal Lecter, if you're gonna do it. But
You know what's weird? I just now realized this. I maybe from aside from the '60s, maybe the Riddler has not really been done justice on, movie or TV.
um, with one notable exception, I thought that um the uh not CW but WB, the Batman series, the cartoon from like
Yeah,
the early
I was
2000s.
about to mention that.
I
Yeah,
meant by
that one did the Riddler quite well, and it was the same voice actor who played Felix Faust in Justice League Unlimited.
well, I meant look. I was meaning live action.
Oh yeah, live action wise, no. I mean, Jim Carrey is wonderful, but a Ed, Edward Nigma he is not.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I kind of agree with that. What else can we say? I think like a lot of the stuff there wasn't. It didn't feel like for the finale, for me at least, it didn't feel like a lot of it properly connected.
No, like I was saying, it kind of feels like the pilot to another Batman series.
Actually, you're not
Um,
the first to say that. I remember a couple other people saying that too.
yeah, it really felt more like the pilot to a sort of novice Batman series than it did a finale to Gotham.
Yeah,
Um,
for one thing, if you look at it from that lens, it's actually a pretty good pilot.
yeah, it's a much better pilot than it is a finale. And honestly, I kind of want to see the series that would spin off from that much more than I would um want to sit through Gotham again. And
Uh,
don't get me wrong, Gotham had stuff in it that I liked. We'll get into that
later.
probably in short order. But
Yeah,
um,
but kind of okay. So, kind of final thoughts on finale.
good, but I wish it was a starting rather than an ending.
Yeah,
And the fact that it was even called the beginning is just like you're baiting me, aren't you? You want me to rail on this?
I would also like to mention I let's talk about Jay because apparently they can't call him the fucking Joker even though he really is.
Well, maybe he's still in like the very last transition uh phase. Give them a little bit of the benefit of that because he hasn't put on like a green wig yet, so maybe that's part of what we're getting into. Though I do love his costume. His costume is amazing.
And like
Um,
I think we've said this a few times on various podcasts. I like his look, hair
yeah,
or no hair. He looks really cool.
the design and the performance are excellent. I just wish it was better writing and better like world building.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so let's talk. Me and Don. Well, E. Based on what we've kind of said, what are your thoughts?
Um, it's nice that the Penguin finally comes full circle, but I am disappointed that it doesn't feel like a proper conclusion because stories do need proper conclusions.
I agree.
Okay, and while we're finishing up this, I will say there's probably at least one scene in the finale that is going to straight up piss you off, and that is the Riddler basically goes out like a bitch.
What, is he dead?
No, but someone whacks like he's in the middle. He's
Selena,
in the process of like
Kyle.
yeah, he's in the process of like villain monologuing, and before he even gets a chance to like do anything, he just gets whacked on the back of the head and knocked out for like 80% of the episode.
Yeah. Okay, so okay. So basic thoughts, I guess, for all of us is pilot. It works as a pilot, but it's horrible as a conclusion. Right?
Yep,
Okay.
That's the vibe I'm getting.
Yeah.
that covers it. Yep.
Though I would recommend watching it. It is pretty good. It's enjoyable.
Okay.
Especially if you haven't seen any of the rest of Gotham and you just want to see it as its own pilot, like a pilot of an unproduced Batman series.
Oh,
You'll
right. Okay, so I guess kind of connecting this, and this will also go in with season 5 review, I guess. Um, what did you think of the bat suit?
um, I liked it. Again, it kind of evoked a sort of golden age Batman vibe.
Mm-hmm.
And given that this is supposed to be like Batman's very beginnings, that makes sense.
Right. Okay, hold on. Let me pull something up here. Because for some reason I was getting I'm not sure if you guys have read this story, I've heard of it. The Batman Noel story.
I believe I have.
I don't think I've heard of that.
It's like it's basically the story of Batman as Ebenezer Scrooge.
Is Batman supposed to be Scrooge?
Yeah, but it is taken in a different context.
Hmm.
Like the story, the Christmas, What is it called again?
Christmas
A
Carol.
Christmas Carol.
Thank you. I don't know why I forgot that.
Because most people just think of it as the story with Scrooge.
Right. But for some reason, it invoked a look of, Scrooge. It invoked a look, for me at least. I thought it kind of looked like the Noel suit. Or
I will say I would have died if they had actually given him purple gloves. Because
But
in his very first appearances, Batman had purple gloves instead of black ones or gray ones, and that would have been nice.
right. Well, what I'm pulling up this image right here is kind of like someone who drew like a Noel suit. And for me, I guess I would want the suit to look something like this, kind of, and I have others up here. Hold on. Yeah, like that. Just because if you remember, like it has like the kind of collar over the cape. It kind of invoked
Yeah,
that one for me.
which is nice. It does look good and everything.
Yeah. So all in all, I plus I think this Noel suit is just really cool looking and stuff.
No, it is a really good suit design. I think for me, the sort of gold standards are the Michael Keaton version and the Kevin Conroy version.
Another thing also is just I think they should have added a little more color to it, like yellow for like the symbol or something. Just
Yeah, the yellow around the emblem would have been nice, but
yeah,
oh well.
and maybe like a
No
golden
different.
utility belt because it's like he's just all black and
Well, but I mean he's supposed to be, taking advantage of the darkness and the old saying of criminals are a superstitious, cowardly lot, and their fear is my greatest weapon.
well, that's
So
another. Again, they didn't really show the Batman.
no, they did a good job of keeping him like cloaked in shadow or smoke or
Yeah,
whatever.
I'm fine with that. It's just,
Yeah, and that actually worked for me
it's just
like
that
thematically because
I
he's
would have preferred like just him being more like a shadow than anything. Not really just like you don't really see him at all until like the very end.
yeah, kind of like what they did with the Phantasm and Batman Mask of the Phantasm. That's how I would have handled it.
Oh,
Have
um
have him almost appear quasi supernatural because of how he's utilizing like the various techniques he does.
Eric Green shot back with something else. My biggest question slash problem with the finale is how was that idiot still mayor 10 years later?
This is a good question, Eric.
Yeah,
Um,
I have to agree. Like, wasn't there like a couple of mayors before, like after him, like after season 2 or something?
Uh-huh.
So I don't know. That's weird.
yeah, he must have regained. He must have got reelected at some point.
That makes no sense. Why not have like a I don't know, maybe make Harvey Dent because I was always curious what happened to that character. Maybe Harvey Dent mayor.
Yeah, but yeah, I don't know why they didn't do that. Like,
I,
I it does annoy me to see Harvey too much before Two-Face, but again, this series was very much conceived as let's kind of pilfer what we can pilfer from the Nolan version, and of course, Harvey being the goody goody district attorney is kind of a key feature in the Dark Knight. So, like,
uh, but
that
my major thing was okay. Well, let's move on to season 5 because I think we keep talking about the finale. We're going to be here all night.
yeah, there's a lot to go over, but let's move on so we can
Okay.
get to the stuff in the title.
Yeah. Okay. So season 5 overall thoughts, and then we get into the meat and potatoes.
It seemed very rushed, like they were scrambling at the last second to introduce all the comic booky shit so that they could actually do a decent finale.
Yeah,
Um,
I agree. Then to kind of bring it up again, with what Eric said, 10 minutes, 10, 15 minutes ago, Gotham did go out with a bang in season 4. Then Fox grudgingly gave them 12 more episodes.
hmm
Um, I would, I have to agree, Dalton. It did seem a little rush, and before we started, I did mention like episodes 1 to 7, for me at least, were like the best of the series.
Yeah, no, they did an admirable effort. They just couldn't keep it going through the whole.
Yeah, I think it's also because they had like uh like the constriction of just 12 episodes. Um, and not to say like you couldn't do 12 episodes. I just think like they had more. There was more. There was more that they wanted to do. They just couldn't.
Yeah, I think they could have done it better if they had spaced out some of the comic book weirdness throughout the rest of the series instead of, oh shit, we have to do a finale and we want to do it justice. Quick, all the comic booky stuff. Oh, it's only half-assed and we only half handled it well. And let's skip over to that part so we can get to the end and have it be good and everything. And fine, but you could have you could have been spacing things out here and there for the entire show so that when the weird shit started happening, it wasn't so out of the blue. You could have done that, but you didn't.
Um, I think a major thing for me is, and I think I mentioned this like a couple times before, is that the timeline of season 5, it just seemed off to me. Like one, like from if you remember episode 10, Dalton, where Bane comes in.
Yeah.
Um, like they skip over so much because it's already close to the end of
Mm-hmm.
it. Um, I
Please don't tell me they do Nightfall.
no, no, they didn't do that. Alfred, though, got his back broken.
Yeah, and in Gotham, Bane is the man who broke the butler
Yeah,
instead of the bat.
I might break the back later on, but
Well, I think that's what they're alluding to. Like this is as George Lucas put it, it thematically rhymes. So
it's like poetry. It rhymes.
mythic cycle, yada yada yada. So
Yeah.
fine. But
Okay. So what I was gonna say is like, and I think I mentioned this before, is that they should have put days at the beginning of every episode, like what day it was, because they did that with like the first episode when they did the time forward, then time skip back.
yeah, that would have been nice if they had actually set things up. But
Yeah, I'll get again. I'll come back to that but all in all, I like the first 7 episodes. It's just like the 2 episodes after that were like filler. I remember,
hmm
and they weren't good
and
filler either.
no, and in this season, can you really afford to do filler?
Agreed.
Yeah, because they were doing things at like a breakneck speed, and if they had kept the breakneck speed going, it would have actually been more satisfying. But
Yeah, agreed. Again, agreed.
they were just like, oh, 7 great episodes, and we're waiting, and we're waiting, and we're waiting, and ooh, finale.
Yeah. But what was I? Well, no, I think the episodes 8. Well, episode 8 was good. I just think it had too many like plots in it. So
Yeah, yeah. Like I said, it was like you honestly could have take out the 2 filler episodes and put in 2 episodes that set up some of the weirder plots from episode 8, and see
Yeah.
where you can go with that.
Yeah.
Would have been my advice.
And some characters were underutilized.
Yeah.
Within season 5. My major
Like I said about the finale, Edward Digma basically gets a bottle to the back of the head and sits out the finale.
Yeah. What I was going to say was, I was going to talk about the ventriloquist and Mr. Scarface.
Mm-hmm.
If you remember that, Dalton.
Yeah.
Yeah. The big thing was that they set up Mr. Ben, or is it Penn? Whoever the
Something like that.
yeah, whoever the ventriloquist is, they had him set up as the kind of assistant to the Penguin, which I thought that was pretty cool,
Mm-hmm.
right? In the third episode, he dies or gets shot, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then he comes back in episode 8 and said like he didn't die, he just like passed out from being shot. Which,
Yeah.
okay.
He was like in a coma for a few days or something.
Yeah, he got out, he went to like a toy store, and then he found the doll of Mr. Scarface and stuff. And all that's fine. It's just that all of that is within one episode.
Yeah.
I personally think, and again, I will come back to this later as being the brainstorm pop culture. I'm sure you guys can guess what I'll talk about later when we get
He's
there.
a brainstorming.
Yes, I am. But what I'm going to say is like that character was underutilized. I'm talking about like Mr. Scarface and the ventriloquist. Like they get killed off in the same episode. The ventriloquist comes back with Mr. Scarface. Same episode.
And while we're here and talking about underutilized like plot, in like the mob oriented seasons, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't remember them ever so much as Easter egging Black Mask. And Black Mask is one of the few.
There was a Roman Sionis, but he ran like a office fight club where people would kill each other for higher ranks in his company.
But here's the thing, and this is why this annoys me, because the Black Mask is one of the few like straight mobster villains that Batman has. So if there was ever a sort of villain to utilize in the pre-Batman era, it would have been Black Mask. But
or at the very least his father, because I think that's the Black
yeah,
Mask.
like make it a family legacy or something. Like that's
Yeah.
and it's not like that would have been out of the ordinary anyway, because of course mafia stuff happened in
That
families.
would have been really cool. Like you could have just made it so like the head of this crime family is referred to as the Black Mask.
In the same way as the head of the Corleone family gets referred to as the Godfather and so on and so forth. The Godfather, you could just be like, our version of the Godfather is the Black Mask. Done.
Right. Okay. I feel like again, like characters that were very underutilized and stuff. Timelines off. A lot of problems they had. And mostly I noticed the problems after the 7th episode, Ace Chemicals, which is one of my favorite episodes of this season.
I'm assuming someone's gonna fall into a vat.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a really good episode. I have to admit.
Yeah, no, honestly, that could have been a finale all by itself if they had set it up right. But
yeah,
the creation of Batman's greatest villain.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so I guess we're kind of done talking about, unless there's anything else we need to talk about. What's season 5?
No, I think we're good. We can move.
I haven't seen this. So I don't have a lot to contribute.
Right. Well, I think you'll contribute to this one, this next topic, a lot better. What's your favorite? What's your favorite moment from each season? I guess for you, it could be up to season 4. So who wants to start first? Well, let's start with season 1. Let's go down the line. Dalton?
I don't know if I have any favorite moments. I like some of what they did. Like the first two seasons, in my opinion, it was a good idea to make it like a procedural cop thing.
Okay.
And it was a good idea to introduce like the mob elements too.
Yeah.
But the problem is where they fucked it up was when they were transitioning from kind of A to B there, like from mobsters and cop procedurals to supervillains and comic book shit.
What am I gotta say? I don't remember quite if this was in season 1 or season 2, but thought the Predator Scarecrow, Jonathan Crane's father, he
Yeah.
was he was dosing himself and his son with fear chemicals to try and overcome fear.
Mhm.
But the thing is, he ended up actually overcoming his fear, but he overdosed his son and made him kind of obsessed with fear and kind of turned him into the Scarecrow.
Yeah, that scene was pretty cool. Mine would have to be my favorite scene would be well, my favorite character in season 1 was Penguin.
Yeah.
I have a few favorite scenes from season 1 of that character. So I'll do the one where, like, at the end of season 1, where he, throws Fish Mooney into the river and stuff, gets up, declaring himself, "I'm the king of Gotham." That was an amazing scene right there. It's what he wanted. He wanted power and all that.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
And he reached his goal, and we saw like the struggle and stuff, and with all the context of that, and him declaring himself, like, he earned it. Honestly.
Yeah.
Okay.
While we're here, the one thing that they did not set up that I really wish they had with Penguin, his trick umbrellas. They never really.
He killed a man with an umbrella in season 2,
I mean,
but he just shoved it down his throat.
he
Yeah,
had
it
that
wasn't a trick umbrella or anything.
I think.
What did you say? I think he broke up a little bit there.
I think he had an umbrella that had like a hidden knife in the handle.
I can't remember, but then again, I haven't seen Gotham in a while, so
I'm pretty sure that was one thing that he had.
okay.
Okay, so fine, but he didn't have any like grappling hook umbrellas or
Or machine gun umbrella.
machine gun umbrellas or
Spinning blade umbrella.
oh god, the helicopter umbrella is my favorite.
Yeah. Honestly, I think for the finale they should have done that.
Mm.
Like,
or at least have a scene where like he orders like custom made trick umbrellas. That would, because lest we forget, the Cobblepots are one of the richest families in Gotham, so it's like
I thought that oh yeah, they did make his dad rich.
yeah, but
Yes.
his mother was like a servant, and his parents paid her to leave.
Yeah.
So if
Well, hey, let's maybe that could be one of our favorite moments from season 2, I believe, right? Or is it
yeah,
season 3?
so if Batman has all the monies to do Batman things, it's not beyond the realm of possibility that Oswald can order some custom umbrellas, for fuck's sake.
Yeah. Well, I believe is he's more of a white collar criminal, right? Like, just like the classic
Well,
kind
he's a gangster.
of what?
Penguin is a gangster.
Well, I thought he runs the Iceberg Lounge, right?
Yeah, but he's still a gangster.
Huh.
Like there were times in like the 40s where casinos would where like casinos and clubs would be
Yeah,
owned by the mob and like in Vegas.
yeah. There's a difference between like there's a difference between the backbreaker kind of mobster and the civil let's negotiate in a back room in suits kind of mob.
And if that doesn't work, we'll just shoot you.
Yeah, that's one of the things that I think people forget about like mobs and mafia stories is that there's kind of a differentiation. There is there are like gangs like that are just kind of feral criminals, but there are also, or at least there used to be, mobsters who,
The gentleman criminal.
yeah,
Yeah,
the gentleman criminal,
rules.
where they had all the connections, all the money, and they did their dealings in, suits and luxury and spooned up caviar while they were threatening to
Yeah,
whack you.
Right. Okay.
like
All
the Godfather was that type of criminal.
Yep.
right. I still need to see that movie.
It's a classic.
Okay, you have not seen Godfather.
Hey, look. Okay, I've already gotten a list of movies from when I was on Whippin's stream like 2 weeks ago or a week ago.
I'm just telling you, the longer it takes you, the more likely it is you're gonna end up strapped to a chair and Ludovico technique all these movies. Like fucking Clockwork Orange.
Still need to see that movie too.
God damn it, man. Do you live in a cave?
Have you seen Back to the Future?
Of course, I've seen all of them.
Okay.
All right, so kind
Have you
of.
seen Have you seen all the Indiana Joneses?
I've seen the first one and the Shia LaBeouf one.
My God, not only have you not seen Temple of Doom or Last Crusade, but you've seen Crystal Skull instead. I swear to God, if there was ever a time where you made me want to drug your ass and put you, like I said, Ludovico technique.
Oh, hey, thank you, Eric.
It's so sad.
Back, kinda.
All right. So we're doing the best moments of season 2 now.
Yeah, which I think is like where it kind of picked up steam in a way.
Mm-hmm.
I like basically everything with Hugo Strange. Just
Yes,
Yeah.
that's what I was gonna say. Hugo Strange is amazing in this.
even though for obvious reasons he is the inferior Strange, he's still pretty fucking awesome in this show.
Why did I know you were gonna say that?
Because it needed to be said, and I was the only one that was gonna say it. So
Right.
Mm-hmm.
You got
But
some.
the Court of Owls, as much as I didn't like how they were handled in the end, I did like that they were introduced and that they are a concept in this universe.
So Eric just shot back with not everyone can be 23 going on being around forever like Dalton.
well, why the fuck not?
All right. You know, it would be easy for me to say a lot of Daron stuff in early on in season 2, but I feel like that would be a cop out.
Well, I mean, Jerome was really awesome too. I mean, he was the proto Joker, and honestly, in all fairness, he probably should have been the actual Joker.
Yeah.
They probably should have built it up so that he was just Joker full stop.
Right. Okay, so what was I was going to say. All right, so I'm not going to say Jerome because that's kind of too easy. I might do that for season 3, but we'll wait for that. I would have to say I believe it is season 2, where he meets Matches Malone, the man who killed his parents, correct?
Whose parents?
Bruce's.
Um,
It's in season 2. He meets Matches Malone, right?
Did they
yes.
not?
Oh yeah, that is that is in season 2.
Okay, so that scene where he meets him and stuff, where where he's gonna pull the trigger but he chooses not to. I think that's like one of the major stepping stones for him to becoming Batman.
Yeah,
I am a little disappointed that they didn't do Joe Chill.
Yeah, agreed.
Yes, same here, but I'm okay with that. It still holds the same weight even if it was Joe Chill. So I like that. So that's okay. So those are our favorite moments for season 2.
One of my favorite Batman moments of all time is when Batman breaks into Joe Chill's jail cell and says, if you don't freaking behave yourself, I'm gonna let everybody in here know that you created Batman."
Oh, that kind of reminds me of a Chill in the Night from the Batman Brave and the Bold series.
I goddamn love the Spectre and the Phantom Stranger playing like betting over Batman's soul. That's just the greatest thing ever. And I love it. I love even more that it's Kevin Conroy and Mark Hamill doing the voices. And then at the end when Spectre like does his whole cosmic justice thing and he's just like, I wouldn't know anything about that. Sure you would, Spectre. Sure.
Yeah, that was a good episode. All right, so moving on to season 3. Anyone got one?
Season 3. No, I'm thinking.
Don't you got one? Well, he thinks.
I think kind of like you. I think everything that set up like the Joker virus kind of thing.
I
That,
mean
that wasn't in season.
the Alice Tetch virus. I think you mean.
Yeah. That.
I do like that they made Penguin essentially a Trump allegory, but I think they did it in a very funny way.
Although part of me is just like, can we lay off the Trump allegories, please?
Yeah.
Like, can we just give him a moratorium on not being satirized for the rest of his presidency? Because otherwise, you're going to turn him into the next Ronald Reagan. I hope all you leftists out there realize that you're going to turn him into the next Ronald Reagan if you don't lay the fuck off.
Oh, so he's going to be in a Futurama cartoon where he becomes president of Earth.
I mean, at the very least, they should cut it out because a lot of people are just getting sick of them, and are being driven away from the party.
Well, I mean that's the thing that no one remembers though about JFK and Ronald Reagan. During their 10 years, a lot of people fucking hated them. But afterwards, when we all had the 2020 vision of hindsight, and everyone goes, you know what, we really shouldn't have crapped on them for the majority of their presidencies. I bet dollars to donuts that's what's gonna happen with Trump.
You know,
it's gonna be 10 years from now, and everyone's gonna go, why did everyone fucking just rag on Donald Trump like it was no tomorrow? And it was just like, yeah.
It kind of brings up this thing I said to a friend of mine once when we were talking about like presidents and stuff. No one likes the president when they're in office.
Yeah.
Everyone always looks back with rose-colored glasses after they're out.
Yeah.
Or it's just you're able to view it clearly now because you're not in such a combative position with that person.
Yeah. Okay, so season 3.
You got it. I said Joker as the mayor, but is that when they brought back? No, that wasn't it. That was season 2. But the Bruce clone was interesting.
Oh yeah.
I completely forgot they did that.
Yeah, me too. So what were you saying, Don, about Tetch virus?
I just thought it was an interesting way of kind of setting up Jerome.
Yeah.
That's Mad Hatter.
Oh, yeah.
The police captain going all crazy is interesting. We got to see him progressively get worse and worse.
He becomes the executioner.
Mm-hmm.
That's an actual character, right, in the Batman mythos?
I'm not sure. I'll Google it.
I believe so.
I've heard of the electrocutioner, but not the executioner.
I keep thinking of the judge, which is
the third personality of Harvey Dent.
Yeah, of Two-Face, but I can't.
Yeah. Okay. For me, it kind of goes along with like the resurrection of Jerome and stuff, but it comes after that. Like when Bruce is like hammering the shit out of Jerome in the Hall of Mirrors, which is an excellent callback to the Dark Knight comics.
He's in Earth. I think he's a villain of Earth 2 Batman.
Ah.
Or Golden Age Batman, as it were.
Okay. Right, but what I was saying is like, during that like Carnage Carnival that Jerome was running, towards the end of the episode where Bruce and him are fighting in the Hall of Mirrors.
That's the one. Yeah, this is the scene where he gets his face cut off.
Yeah, which is really cool.
Well, yeah, it's a callback to the New 52 where they do that with the Joker.
Yeah, it's creepy, I will admit. Yeah. But what I was gonna say is, like, when Bruce is ready to like, plunge a piece of mirror into Jerome and stuff, and Jerome saying "do it" and all that. Bruce looks in the mirror, seeing with like the paint of the stuff on, of the clown makeup and stuff, and just decides not to. And
to be fair, if he had, he probably would have saved a lot of lives.
That's what everyone says about him and Batman.
And there we are with the classic Joker argument of, yeah, you have a rule against killing, but if you just did this one, the only person
protecting that rule kind of is yourself. That's it, like the only reason that the only person he's protecting with that rule is himself.
Well, and all the other people he might presumably hurt if he crosses that line, I guess is the logic. But
if he wants under the red hood, like that speech he gives Jason at the end of the movie.
Yeah, but I think they're like criminals, like muggers and crap. You can just throw them in jail, but when it's someone like the Joker, he's a notorious mass murderer who no matter how many times you defeat, is always going to come back and come up with some maniacal and overly convoluted way.
Yeah, just and you also know that he's not doing it for anything resembling a rational reason. He's not doing it for the profit motive. He's not doing it for... I mean, to paraphrase the famous Dark Knight line, some men just want to watch the world burn.
Yeah. That line really does sum up the Joker perfectly.
Yeah. I don't know. I still think he shouldn't kill anyone. Even if they really deserve it.
I mean, killing is wrong, but I'm not saying... But I'm saying, yes, killing is wrong, but a lot of people would still be alive had he done it, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, at some point you have to stop using the pragmatic lens.
What about when Batman says in The Dark Knight Returns, all the people I've murdered by letting you live? He realized that in the end. I'm sure he thinks about it all the time. So. Right, okay, so season 4. Favorite moment?
I don't know. I haven't watched these seasons in a while, so I gotta think back. But
Don, you got one?
I have one. Seeing Solomon Grundy was cool.
It was nice to see them kind of allude to the more supernatural aspects of things, obviously.
Though I don't think it was actually supernatural. It was more chemical and science.
Yeah, I know, and that's why I didn't think of that at first, because it's like, on the one hand, you did Solomon Grundy. On the other hand, you kind of didn't do Solomon Grundy. So.
Yeah,
and then it would have been interesting, like, if like people were scared of him and they kept killing him, but then he just kept coming back.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of turning him into kind of like the Hulk, but swampy and dead.
So Swamp Thing.
Yeah.
This has always been an interesting thing I thought they should do with regards to Solomon Grundy and Swamp Thing. Have it be the same swamp that restores Grundy as creates the Swamp Thing.
Well, they're in two different locations. I think Swamp Thing is in like Louisiana, and like
No, I know,
Grundy's in Gotham.
but if I was gonna retcon it, I think it would be really interesting to have um Solomon Grundy and Swamp Thing kind of be brothers
Well, you
by
could have
way
had
of Swamp
so the
Resurrect.
portal in that the swamp in Gotham is also a portal to the Green.
Right. Hey, do you guys remember? I'm not sure if you read these, but I have them. The New 52 Earth 2 series.
Yes. Well, oh yeah, Grundy is the avatar of the. Well, they call it the Gray, but it's essentially the Rot.
Yeah. And in that universe, apparently Alan Scott, who is the Green Lantern, is the avatar for the Green.
Which makes a certain degree of sense since we know that his Green Lantern is not a Green Lantern ring.
It's a collection of mystical energy that the Guardians collected when they were trying to restore order to the universe by getting rid of magic out in space.
Yeah.
Womp.
Okay.
I
So
mean, worked out for Earth, in a way, because
This
we
is
got
true.
Alan Scott.
It did leave a greater abundance of magical energies on Earth, which I suppose is a good thing. But still, it's like
right.
I just it makes me get anal because like no one would think to do that with any of the scientific forces. Like no one is sitting there going, you know, what would be great for the universe if we just got rid of gravity. If we just negated
Well,
the strong nuclear force, that would be great for the universe. Like the
I mean,
fuck.
I think the way they thought it is that the way people wield magic and magic, or at least as it's portrayed in the DC universe, can be chaotic, and they were
Yeah.
very much about order.
Well, gee, if
Oh,
only there was an
oh,
entire pantheon of quasi deities that are specifically concerned with magical order or something. Oh, wait. Derp.
But I don't think the Guardians of the Universe really had any contact with the Lords of Order,
No,
as
but
far
like,
as I'm aware.
it's just funny. Like, how do we create more order in the universe? I know. Let's get rid of this extremely necessary portion of our reality. Oh wait, no. And also, like, can you imagine the Lords of Order's reaction if they were actually successful with that? Just like the the raining of holy hell that would occur against like the war between the Guardians of the Universe and the Lords of Order.
Well,
I
they could
almost
never
want to see
get
that,
rid of
but
them.
I know that it would have to be an elf world because otherwise the mainline universe would be exploded.
Well, they can't really get rid of it. They were trying to contain it because you can't just get rid of all that energy.
Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. But like, if they had actually managed to somehow contain that much energy to the point where the Lords of Order would notice and just be like, "You are not allowed to do this." Although
Yeah,
that's an interesting question. Who is technically more, well? I guess the Lords of Order are more powerful. I
yeah,
had to think for a second because at one point, one of the original Guardians who created the power battery in the first place dated Dream of the Endless, so there is that.
I guess we got another thing to talk about.
well, to be fair, I'm pretty sure Dream of the Endless could just date whoever he wants.
Well, this is true, but I'm thinking in terms of what kind of entity would even be allowed to like perceive him on a regular basis, kind of thing.
Well, he appeared in front of like normal people before.
No, that's true. I kind of wish they had conceived a child though, just because I want to see what a Guardian of the Universe endless hybrid would be able
It
to do.
probably looked really weird, to be
Yeah,
honest.
and that would not be a bad thing. Especially now that the Lords of Order have basically been turned into quasi ghosts. Thanks for that
Yeah,
one, DC. Fuck yourselves.
I felt really bad when I told you that.
Just
Okay.
but moving on back to Gotham, because if we're going down that rabbit hole again, I'm going to spiral.
Right. Okay.
Again.
So season 4 favorite moments.
I
You got
already said Grundy, so your turn.
me or Dalton?
Either.
Go ahead, brainstorm. I can't really think of that. Well, the parts where Gotham was like sectioned off was interesting. Or was that season 4 or was it the beginning of season 5? I can't even fucking remember.
That was the beginning of season 5. I'm pretty sure. Like I didn't see season 5, but I saw the ending of season 4, and that was when they did the whole we control this territory, we control this territory, and I think the power was out all over the city.
Yeah, that's the only like major standout cool moment that I can think of is when all that shit went down.
For
I thought
me,
I thought you would have liked the introduction of Lazarus pits.
Hmm?
They introduced the Lazarus pits. That's something.
Well, yeah, that was nice. The thing with the Lazarus pit was okay, I guess, but they didn't really do anything super interesting with it. So,
huh? Sorry, I was checking Facebook and someone just posted a picture saying chemistry substitute teacher was slowly writing in-game spoilers on the board every time we talked. That's a way to get class quiet, I guess.
Yeah, but one thing I liked, going back to the cop procedural aspect of the show, Professor Pig was a
Oh,
very cool, like,
pig. That was cool.
yeah,
I like the pizza pies. I mean, like that's not my favorite moment, but that was a part.
yeah. And Falcone's daughter, who wanted to be the queen of crime, but she didn't like n- respect any of the old rules that her father had set up.
Kids today, no respect.
Yeah. But then when her father comes in to kind of like rein her in, she puts a hit out on him.
well, I mean, that is one way of doing it, but
Yeah, it's kind of cliche how kids of like crime bosses and stuff never really understand nor respect the old ways of how things done when it's the old ways that put them on the top and their family. I mean,
Yeah, it's also the like the old ways that have respect is also part of what keeps them like alive, so the
yeah,
people aren't
no,
out streets
yeah,
gunning them down.
it's the whole honor among thieves thing of we do a lot of these rules are in place not for our benefit, but because we have basic decency, even though we're terrible criminal people.
Yeah, like they're like one of the things is like you don't hit churches or like weddings or things like that.
yeah,
Also, you don't get children involved. And she was
Yeah.
using her orphanage just for cover, and use the kid against Penguin.
that's
Mm-hmm.
that's messed up. Right. Okay. So my favorite moment would have to be when Jeremiah, who became crazy after the spray, the moment he it's more visually, and if anyone needs to drink, because when I'm going to kind of go on a filmmaking kind of
He's doing the film school bullshit. Guys, get the drinks ready.
yeah. It's the scene where Jeremiah was taken in and is put in the cage, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
shot for one thing. It's shot to frame him like a caged animal. Well, actually, no, not even that. If I'm recalling it correctly, he has no bars set up right in front of him.
Mm-hmm.
He's pretty much the free person, right? And the symbol of the ha 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 smile thing of the cult that is he
Mm-hmm.
led is above him, which I guess is kind of a foreshadowing of his eventual transformation into the iconic character we all know,
Yeah.
and are either kind of
Joker to be.
yeah. And the police, who are supposed to be like the law protectors, have the cages in front of them, even, and they're taunting him by doing the whole clanging thing against the bars. So visually, it tells a story already with like how he's technically free, and the people of a society that protect the society and the rules of the society are caged by the rules of the society that they protect. Plus, it kind of the way it is. It kind of reminds me that he is like Hannibal Lecter, because I always got that with Jeremiah,
Mm-hmm.
and I like the idea of a Hannibal Lecter type Joker.
Yeah.
I know that's
It,
not technically what the Joker is. It's just I think.
well, no, but in a way, that's kind of what Mark Hamill's Joker is. I mean, the Harley Quinn origin episode is basically a almost 1-to-1 comparison to Silence of the Lambs.
But yeah,
Except, wait, did she fall in love with Hannibal Lecter in Silence of the Lambs? I don't remember.
It's okay. In the books, they fall in love after Hannibal. It's alluded to the same in the movie as well, but it's less concise. There's at least a romance between them. I don't think Hannibal Lecter is anywhere near as abusive to uh Clarice as uh Joker is to Harley. Which Joker, think about that for a second. You're being outshined by Hannibal Lecter. Just think about that, mate.
right.
Um,
I don't know what I was gonna say. I just said All right, but yeah, that was my favorite moment for season 4. And awkward silence.
Um,
Oh right, drink people drink. I went on a little filmmaking rant there.
yep. Film
one.
school lingo, drink. That's Brainstormer's drinking game.
Yep.
I'm trying to think what the moments that I liked in season 4, or other moments that I liked, and it was kind of it was funny to see the Riddler after being thawed become an idiot.
I found that to be a little bit insulting, so I didn't like that.
Hmm.
And it was just another step along the turning the Riddler into a cheap Joker knockoff road, and I didn't like that because the Riddler and the Joker are not the same character and never should be.
Mm.
So, you guys can tell me your favorite moments of season 5. I don't care about spoilers.
Right. Don, you want to?
I think the eventual reveal was pretty good. The actual Batman reveal. I also liked the emotional moments between Bruce and Alfred.
Those are good. I mean, like they didn't get me crying, like, well, like misty eyed, but they were,
It was definitely well done, and it came close a couple of times, I think.
yeah. For me, I guess 2 major scenes. One where I don't know if this is I I think it's either I think it's okay. So it's episode 3. Um, Echo, who's like the Harley Quinn prototype, um, is talking to Selena Kyle, after the cult members do a test of faith by putting revolvers, being in a circle, putting revolvers to each other's heads, pulling the trigger. One thing that's completely crazy and insane and a total Joker thing. I would say if you wanted to prove loyalty, the Joker.
Mm-hmm.
But no, I want to talk about the scene where Echo says that she shot herself too, but the bullet's still inside her head, and that's because I think for most of season 4, she was pretty sane. She wasn't like insane, but she was devoted to Jeremiah, and she showed her devotion even more by putting a bullet in her own skull. And just the way the way that actress who played the prototype Harley Quinn did a really good job.
Agreed.
Yeah. Like, I got this real creepy feeling when she was talking about it and stuff. I can't really put it into words how it was. It's just, like, you'd have to see it. But it was really good.
Do you think she was a better Harley Quinn than Margot Robbie?
Well,
Isn't it?
I didn't really get a lot of feeling from Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn. So probably, yeah.
Yeah, I'd agree. I think she definitely, if they had just straight up called her Harley Quinn, she would have been a better Harley Quinn than Margot Robbie.
Yeah, it's
Did
just,
she have kind of like the Harley Quinn uniform?
she had the red and black, yeah. Not like the traditional jester suit, but it was close. She looked pretty cool, like creepy and stuff.
I'll have to watch this season.
Yeah.
What's your favorite moment, Dalton?
Didn't I already say I liked the emotional
Right, yeah, you did. I think
the
I
emotional
had
stuff
another.
between Bruce and Alfred?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I think I said I had another moment. Give me a sec while I remember it.
One of the things that everybody seems to be leaving out is what happens with Gordon in this season, who is kind of like the main character of the show. Yet has never been mentioned this entire stream so far.
He
Yeah,
he does make commissioner finally.
yeah.
Mm.
But right, big spoiler. He has a mustache in the season finale. But Dalton, do you want to help me here?
No, you can do this one. I'm good.
All right. But he shaves it after 5 minutes of screen time where he has the mustache.
Yeah, they Easter egged his mustache.
Yep.
It's one of the best stashes in all of comics.
Actually, it didn't even look that great on screen. Like, it was really, it was kind of thin and stuff.
Yeah, they kind of gave him a little bit of a pencil mustache.
Yeah.
Uh,
Pencil mustache. The Mark of Zorro film that Jeremiah films in Ace Chemicals episode where he's tortured.
that's the movie that Bruce was watching that made him go out of the theater.
Yeah.
Killed.
Yeah. Jeremiah filmed his own version to taunt Bruce. Like, he leads Bruce around Gotham on like this kind of hunt.
Yeah, which is a total Joker move, and it was good.
Oh yeah, it's really cool. Like, you got to see him dressed up as Zorro. Like, it was funny and creepy.
Jeremiah or Bruce was
Jeremiah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Topic 4. What could have been done better?
so many things.
A lot.
Okay, so let's start with the overall of the series.
They ramped up too much of the crazy too soon, in my opinion. Everything was going fine until, in my opinion, really the point where they got to Hugo Strange and the experiment that he was doing.
I agree. They should have.
My issue is that the crazy wasn't spaced out enough. I think if they had thrown in more hints in the first couple of seasons about the crazy that was coming, it would have seemed much more natural. I do also think that getting rid of Hugo Strange as a villain was done a little bit too soon. He could have at least come back in other seasons than the one he was in.
Yeah. I think if they were going to do the crazy, they should have eased into it in the mid-season finale. Like, if they were going to go full on crazy afterwards, which they kind of did, mid-season finale of season 3, they should have gone full on crazy then, and then go on after. Like, you should have eased in with season 1, season 2. The beginning half of season 3 is where the crazy really started. Should have ramped up. Then after the mid-season finale of season 3, full crazy after that.
I agree.
Okay, so right, I was gonna talk about something, but okay, while I bring this stuff up on my computer, you guys talk about other things that could have been done better for maybe a season or characters or whatever.
We mentioned this before we came on. I think if they wanted to do the Riddler, they should have done basically if they wanted to do a more grounded version of the Riddler, they should have basically done Jigsaw from the Saw movies. That's more the Riddler than the Riddler that we got. The Riddler that we got was more like the trickster.
Okay. E, you got anything?
Certain villains could have been done better.
Mr. Freeze?
I think Mr. Freeze was kind of on point, but Solomon Grundy had potential, but it was kind of wasted. And Azrael was really wasted.
Yeah, what the fuck was even going on with that? Like,
I did like what Wally was on, but yeah, I do agree. Like, he was underutilized. Though I do like the idea of with Hugo, this kind of relating to Hugo Strange. Like, when he brings someone back, they need a new identity or something, like a character to inhabit.
Yeah.
I just think they should have done more with that. With them.
Speaking of characters that I'm not sure what the fuck happened. Poison Ivy.
Oh, you know what? That actually, they could have connected her with Hugo Strange. That would have made a lot more sense, right?
Yeah, huh?
Yeah.
And they shouldn't have changed her name for no reason.
Why did they need to?
Also, it would have made we saw that she liked plants, but her obsession with them was never really explained.
Yeah, and she never really exhibited any like telekinetic powers over them or anything.
Yeah, no plant manipulation powers.
Yeah. Which I wanted to use the like Greek kinesis word for it, but I couldn't think of what the actual word for plant manipulation is.
Okay. I think I mentioned this beforehand.
Fluorokinesis? Is that it? I don't know.
Well, that would be flowers.
Oh.
Well, hold on. Let me see if I can type it up here. Thank you, Google. Even though you're controlling everything at this point,
including the fates of this live stream. Let's just keep that in mind. I, for one, welcome our Google overlord, he said, fully aware that they could probably shoot him in the head whenever they wanted.
Okay. Chlorokinesis.
Is that what?
Well, okay, so it says the ability to mentally and/or physically summon, control, and manipulate plants and vegetation.
Okay.
Okay, that makes
but it also has a couple of different names too: agrokinesis, botan, but botanic, botanokinesis, and
botanokinesis.
yeah, and photokinesis.
Wouldn't photokinesis be manipulation of light?
Well, no,
Yeah,
it's spelled Phyto. I think like photosynthesis or something.
Yeah, but that comes from like photons.
yeah, light. Yeah,
I have no like man. I'm just reading the thing what it
yeah.
says.
Yeah, whoever
Chlorokinesis.
did that misnamed it.
Well, I'm
Yeah,
reading from a wiki, so
chlorokinesis makes the most sense because chlorophyll. But even that's just like, are you just manipulating the chlorophyll, or are you manipulating?
what about agrokinesis?
What about like arborokinesis? Because trees and plants.
What is the
That might
ability
have.
to control pants?
I mean, I know there are characters that specifically can only manipulate wood.
Hmm. And that is a mystery there.
Mhm.
Either way,
So,
poison
so,
ivy
so
controls
they'd be great against Alan Scott, but shitty against pretty much everyone else.
Yeah, so the Human Torch would decimate them.
Oh yeah. Okay. What was I gonna? Oh right. So I have a page, a couple pages here of my kind of reworking of how I would do Gotham season 5. So this is brainstormer pitches Gotham season 5. So I would the things to keep because I made a list of this stuff. I would keep episodes 1 to 7 the way they are.
Mm-hmm.
Because I did say earlier on is that I think those are the best ones they had.
Mm-hmm.
And that is the only thing on things to keep. So the changes I would make, and this is a little longer.
Hmm. Hmm. You
So
don't say.
yeah, so I would have 15 episodes instead of 12. That being said, like you could do 12 episodes. I just don't think they handle the 12 episode limit.
12 episodes is short, just for a series in general, but let alone a Batman series.
Yeah.
Yeah. So 15 episodes. The second one, and this is a spoiler, E, and I know you don't care about those, but I just wanted to say that. They didn't kill Barbara King.
Well, I'm pretty sure that in the comics, Gordon is married to a woman named Barbara.
Right. See, that's something that weirds me out. Is why would the daughter be named Barbara?
I don't know. They named the mom, the daughter after the mom, and the son after the father. I mean, that's canonically what they did. I don't know why.
Well, the reason
It just is.
I get the son because you can do Junior, but is there really such a thing as Barbara Junior or just Barbara?
I think it would just be Barbara.
Right. Okay. So Barbara is killed by Bane, which I think was I don't know if that was actually originally thought of, but she Barbara dies by Bane in a heroic act to save Lee and the baby, prompting Jim and Lee to name the baby after her mother, who was good in the end. That's literally all I wrote there for that, and it makes a lot more sense because in the
Wait, did Barbara get pregnant?
yeah
And it's Jim's?
yeah
Hmm.
yeah they had a fling in season 5.
Yeah, see, that's
Yeah.
the one thing I never get. Like, I knew that Barbara was supposed to be Barbara Gordon's mother, so I never understood the whole making her evil thing.
Yeah, making her a crime boss was just kind of stupid.
Well, they did it, so I have to kind of keep in line with everything else. I would change a lot in Gotham, actually, but I'm just dealing with what I have with season 5. So, but the reason why she's called Barbara is because in the actual they gave a reason why she's called that because she's called Barbara Lee Gordon in the actual show.
Hmm.
The reason they gave was so she knows the names of the people she can trust. You know, she can. You know, she trusts her mother, Lee Tompkins, who's the wife of James Gordon now in Gotham,
Mhm.
and James Gordon, her father. That's okay, I guess, for a reason. But I thought this one would be a lot easier.
It's a little bit convoluted though. Like,
Yeah. So this is
I'm going to name you after all the people you can trust.
yeah,
Here's a long ass like quasi Hispanic name where they list like
right. So that's why
all
I
of your
kind
relatives.
of so that's why I named that's why I did that change because I think it works a lot better.
Mm-hmm.
Um, After episode 5 is when Bane starts to really start to emerge in Gotham. I mean, like he was introduced before he became Bane, but
Mhm.
the after he was changed into Bane, he wasn't really until like episode 10. He isn't really mentioned of. So I kind of have that he is alluded to after episode 5, then shows up later.
Mm-hmm. And he doesn't really become Bane as we would understand Bane. Like,
I think they took more inspiration from the Nolan. Well,
yeah, they took it's more of Tom Hardy's Bane than it is Bane.
see, maybe that's a discussion for another time about the Nolan adaptation, but another time. And I remember, like I said, this like they should have added day numbers to the beginning of every episode.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um. Then episode 8, I'm actually keeping episode 8, but I'm taking out the Scarface plot. Then have Scarface and Penguin Cam head to head in an episode devoted to them alone, which I have aptly named a Gangsters Game.
Hmm.
Yeah. I was gonna call it Gotham Gangsters, but sounded stupid.
A little bit.
Yeah. And this is just my own personal critique, like with the Batman costume, which looks more like the Batman Noel's suit. That's the only thing I would. That's pretty much all the stuff I would change.
Hmm.
And the added episodes I got were like a filler episode, a couple like two filler episode, well 3 after episode 8, which is like Bats in the Belfry because they set up Man Bat in season 4, like in the finale.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to have that, and hey, maybe we could have the joke of maybe calling him Batman or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, War of Ice and Fire after that, which is because they alluded to Mr. Freeze and Firefly fighting it out somewhere else in Gotham, and they didn't do anything with that.
Nope.
So I thought that'd be a good thing to do. Bring them in. Episode 12 is kind of like the Bane episode, pretty much, but Barbara gets killed by Bane in the end.
Hmm.
Then it's War for Gotham. That's like technically the penultimate finale for the finale of like the Gotham No Man Land's arc.
Mm-hmm.
And then in Darkness There Is Light, which refers to Jim talking to Bruce in episode 1 of
Right.
the series. And then episode 15, which is the finale for mine, is it's called Gotham's Night. I was
Hmm.
gonna I was gonna call it Gotham Night, but that's taken by a movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. And just for the record, everyone, I am writing a script for Gotham's Night. I'm still in the middle of writing it, actually. And when I'm done, I'm going to post it on Twitter.
Hmm.
So for everyone to take a look at and critique it and all.
Cool.
Yeah. I actually wanted to bring up because we're kind of done with everything for Gotham. Well,
Yeah.
actually, we the thoughts on the Pennyworth series. It's coming because it's from what I remember, it is supposed to be a.
As long as it's still the guy that played him in the show, I have no problem with it.
It's not. It's a prequel, so it's a younger version of the character.
Well, then that person has very big shoes to fill. Cause
Yeah. You know, we can do something interesting. Is that the actor who plays Alfred actually has a son named Alfred?
That's
okay. So now what we need to do then is we need to have that. We need to have the youngest of the Pertwee play the young Alfred, and
Well,
then
he's
we
a
can
kid, so
but child actors can be good, and he's from the Pertwee family, so he can't be that bad, can he?
yeah. And when when your grandfather's the third Doctor, that's mighty big shoes to fill.
Yeah, it's like
um
3 generations of genre giants, basically.
right.
Yeah.
For me, I'm kind of interested in it because I do like the Alfred of Gotham a lot. But what was I going to say about my script for my own finale of Gotham? Right. If I remember this guy saying once they didn't want to post his work for like certain projects on because he didn't want them to get stolen by maybe like an executive or something who would pass it on as their own.
Mm-hmm.
And I get that, but my thing is, my whole video, like my whole persona, has been built up as kind of writing over glorified, actually competent, understanding
Fan
of
fiction, basically. Yeah.
yeah, but actually good fan fiction. So,
Yeah.
and my thing is that if some Hollywood douchebag is taking my own idea, that means one, they are creatively inept. Inept. I'm using inept in the right way, right?
You are.
Right. They are so creatively inept that they can't think of anything on their own, so they have to find some like just nobody on the internet and steal their thing. That means I'm a better writer than any of the hacks in Hollywood right now.
Yep. And here's the other thing for me, and this is why I really I don't get super cagey about sharing my ideas for things. If somebody other than me ends up stealing my idea and does it right, then all the more power to you. Because I care more about the thing being done right than I do about getting the glory for it. So it's like, if you want me to ghost write for you and you can take all the credit, that's fine. Just do it correctly, and we're good.
Yeah, that's my thing. Like, I write all these things about like properties that aren't even mine. I do it out of I like that property and I want to give my own style to it.
Mm-hmm.
And if someone takes it, that's fine because it's not even my property to begin with.
It's kind of like if someone takes my ideas for doing a Doctor Strange sequel. If Scott Derrickson takes my ideas for doing a Doctor Strange sequel and makes it into a great movie, I'm not going to be all, you took my idea, you son of a bitch. I'm going to be good. For one thing, I was right. For another thing, this is a better version of what you could have done. So cool. I just I'll say the same thing today as I said when I first started hopping on streams. I don't care about the credit. All I care about is whether you're treating my characters right. So if the only way to get my characters treated right is for me to do the work and you to take credit, then so be it.
I wish they would put in the work though.
I do, but you kind of have to play the ball where it lies sometimes, and sometimes
Agreed. Yeah, it's just
the place where the ball lies is in hell. So
yeah. E, you got anything to add to the conversation before we move on? E.
I'm sorry, I was doing something. Can you repeat the question?
Right. Just well, exactly wasn't a question. It was more of if someone were to steal your work on a like if you did like a fan script or something, would you
Mm-hmm.
mind that or would?
Now, would this be a fan script or something that I was actually trying to make?
I think kind of we were talking more like about like fan stuff, like a fan spec.
Yeah. If somebody saw your fan fiction for something to do with a character, and they ended up taking it, would you be upset, or would you just be thinking to yourself, they're doing my character right, or something like?
Well, if it's fan fiction of another work, I wouldn't care. But if it's something that is my own original creation,
Well,
they're
yeah, I guess that's different. But
That's
like what I said is, if Scott Derrickson decides to take every idea I've ever had for a Doctor Strange sequel and finds a way to make it into a good movie, I'm not going to be bitching, because at least that means my character got done right.
huh.
yeah. In that case, no, I would not have a problem with it at all.
Yeah. Okay, so um, we were talking about this article, right before the stream started, and Dalton sent this to me earlier today. I haven't
I
read
had
it.
I had originally intended it to be something we would do next week, but apparently the power of stupidity compelled Brainstormer, and now here we are.
Well, also because we have some things going on next week, so
Mm-hmm.
for the podcast next week. So I figure getting this done and over with, and plus I found another article we might dissect too.
Yeah. Okay. So, while you're getting that ready, I'm gonna go turn on a light in my room because it's getting dark, and I don't want to fucking be sitting in the dark.
Okay, hold on, let me share this. And you guys see that?
No, my phone turned off. I'm turning it back on now.
Uh,
Oh yeah, the article.
yeah. Okay, so if anyone is still here, we are now into we are now talking about something that actually gets you guys pretty interested in why you come to most streams. And that's taking apart some stupid article written by someone.
And this one is fairly stupid.
Yeah. Okay, I will press to everyone. No, I did not press. Okay, there we go. Okay. What the hell was that?
What?
Sounded like someone fell or dropped something.
No, that was just me. I was grabbing something.
Okay.
Okay. But let's dig into this, shall we?
Right.
Oh, boy.
Okay.
It's the
So
Mary Sue, folks. Grab your drinks. You're going to need them.
actually, So I I gotta get more things. I gotta get some more drink. I'm out. I've been out for like an hour. So can someone read like the beginning of it? And I'll be right back.
Dalton, could you read it?
Okay, the title of this article, and I'm going to try and say this in the most patronizing, snidely voice I can. A talking raccoon is taken more seriously than women by male MCU fans.
They're referring, of course, to Rocket Raccoon.
And let us now all pause for the inevitable nuclear facepalm.
Mm. There's always something that they complain about, and the only reason you could complain about this if you were actively looking for stuff to complain about.
Well, my feminist lens.
Your feminist lens is broken and bullshit.
I think your feminist lens might be broken by virtue that it's a feminist lens.
True. But
I have yet to see an unbroken feminist lens, so I'm beginning to think the breaking is just part of the lens at this
Right.
point. But anyway, let's
Wait, where'd you stop?
I just read the title and then we groaned.
Okay.
preemptively about the title.
It's amazing how we already get started talking and we haven't even actually read the article yet.
Yeah, let's do that so we don't get accused of straw manning.
Yeah.
Which side note, if I can complain about that for just a second, if you're going to begin with an entirely inflammatory title, then don't complain about someone strawmanning you based on that intentionally inflammatory title. Either make a substantive point in the title that will get people to click on said article, or be prepared to be judged on the inflammatory nature of your title.
Like, I'm not even sure it actually makes sense. As a
It
title.
doesn't.
What?
Like, Rocket Raccoon is something that was supposed to make fans love him. He is a wisecracking raccoon that likes to steal things and shoot guns. Yes, he is going to be popular.
Plus, he actually has a lot of emotional depth to him.
Yep. He's a character. And also, while we're here, I'm going to ramble about the implicit moralism argument you made here, because you're assuming that by virtue of the fact that he is a talking raccoon, that necessarily means we need to take him less seriously. And I call
Yeah.
bullshit on that. You can take any character seriously, any character at all, as long as they are well handled, likable, and worthy of investment. If your character doesn't manage to be well handled, likable, and worthy of investment, then I don't care if your character is the most normal, quote unquote, realistic character you can think of. No one is going to give a shit.
Captain Marvel.
Marvel's not realistic.
No, because women tend to actually have these things called personalities and everything. But there's that. But yeah, the fact that he's a talking raccoon doesn't make it harder to take him seriously, as long as you handle him well.
He's part of the Guardians of the Galaxy. It's a team which features aliens of various races. So a talking raccoon really isn't that outside of that wheelhouse.
Yeah, and even if he were just in the regular Marvel, in the regular portion of the Marvel universe, there's nothing inherently uncanny about a talking raccoon that would make you necessarily take him less seriously. Because here's a shocker for you, Mary Sue. No one actually meaningfully gives a fuck what is or is not normal. No one. The only people that give a fuck about what is or is not normal are traditionalists who insist on their norms being catered to an nth degree, and postmodern nihilist fucks that think that no norm can ever have any merit whatsoever. Those are the only two classes of people that I have ever seen actually give a fuck about what's normal. Deal with it. Most people are just okay judging things on a case-by-case basis and not cucking to norms every 5 seconds.
Yeah, most people are fine with something that's not normal as long as nobody's an asshole about it.
Okay, so should we talk about the actual article, or do we still want to talk about the title?
No. We've squeezed, I think, all we can out of the stupidity of the title. Let's go in for another round of the stupid.
Right. Okay. So the writer who
Hold on. I just want to say something to the chat. When he said writer, put that in air quotes.
Right. Writer in the biggest air quotes one can find.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So the writer, that is with air quotes, I believe this is an opinion piece, by the way. Because she starts off with, I don't think.
No, she doesn't.
Right. Okay. So kind of. What?
It was like that line was teed up. I had to say that.
Right.
Yeah. So somebody did. If you hadn't, I would have.
Right. I thought like it clicked in my head as soon as I like said it, and I thought I was going to say something, but you beat me to it. All right. So I don't think that men realize just how much it sucks being a female fan of superheroes. I kind of want.
Most women don't either, because most women that are interested in superheroes don't have a fucked out ideology in their heads that makes them ideologically female.
A part of me wants to try and get one of our previous female guests on here.
To weigh in on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but this is the thing. You don't mean female when you say female, do you, writer from the Mary Sue? You mean feminist. And I will say this as many times as I have to. Feminist is not equivalent to feminine. You don't have a monopoly on the identity group known as women, because
feminists
identities
tend to be quite not feminine if you think about it.
Wait, could you say that again? I think you're kind of breaking up.
I said feminists have a tendency to be very much not feminine.
No, well, yeah, because they think that traditional femininity is a social construct that was invented or perpetrated to oppress women, and by being traditionally feminine, you're essentially tacitly condoning your own internalized Stockholm syndrome, basically. But regardless, and I really want to get to this point. I will say this to the feminists and all of the other social justice subgroups out there. Identities, right, are not teams. I am a bisexual person. That does not mean that I share a ideological hive mind or innate premises with a bisexuality ideology. I am a disabled person. That doesn't mean there's a disabled ideology that I necessarily need to follow or that necessarily flows from the fact that I'm disabled. Is that clear, people? Identities are not teams. And they
Dalton, did you hear that?
Religions.
Did you hear that you're actually not supposed to say disabled anymore? They came up with some new bullshit term.
Yes, I did. Yes, I watched I think it was Dave Cullen in one of his "How is this a thing" videos expressed that, and I find that offensive as a disabled person, that I am not permitted to, like, I don't. Here's the thing: I jokingly refer to myself as a cripple from time to time, and I don't have a problem with that. So the idea that someone is so hypersensitive that they have a problem with the word disabled when it really is just a neutral descriptor of what the fucking nature of being disabled is irks me to no end.
Yeah. Trust me, nobody makes more black jokes than black people.
Yeah. Well, the thing I was going to say, which I guess you guys technically covered, is that most female fans don't refer to them as female fans. They just say, I'm a fan.
Yeah, because their gender, believe it or not, isn't a factor in whether they are or not a female, or the nature.
I've never heard the argument that someone's sexual organs were a determining factor on whether or not they like comic books.
Well, not in anything resembling a rational discourse. No, in the social justice framework, all thoughts or ideas flow directly from demographic identities. So if you are a black person, you think in a specific way, and any ideologies that come directly from blackness are the approved identities for a black person, and anything else is you're internalizing white Western patriarchy. Don't you know that
someone literally said that to me one time on Facebook.
Yeah.
It's amazing how much we're getting to talk from just the first sentence.
It's the Mary Sue.
True. Well, I don't know much about the Mary Sue because I don't like going on to this website.
It's wrong. That's all you need to know. Whatever it is, it's wrong.
Okay.
It's stupid, and the stupidity needs to be called out. So let's go back to calling out the idiocy, shall we?
Right. Shall we continue?
Yep.
We shall proceed.
I'm not saying they don't understand being mocked, with air quotes there, because they're nerds. They do, but even the nerdum is more universally accepted than a girl who likes the MCU. What the fuck are you even saying, lady?
Oh, okay. I will give this person a tiny modicum of credit because they did actually acknowledge that nerddom is a factor in being mocked. I have had
Is that what we
many
even call it?
I have had many arguments with people who have said that nerd culture was never a detriment to anyone, and no one has ever mocked someone for being nerdy,
Well, that's
including
just
Movie
not
Bob of
true.
all people. So yeah,
Well, Movie Bob is a notorious idiot.
this is true. He didn't used to be this bad though. I think the combination of Gamergate and Trump broke him.
I think it broke a lot of people.
Yeah. But regardless, she did actually acknowledge that you can actually be shamed and ostracized for your taste in art and culture. So good on you. You managed to make a point and didn't cuck out to ideology.
You sure about
And then you did. So let's get back to that.
that? Right. So they do, but even that nerdum is more universally accepted than a girl who likes the MCU.
Bullshit.
Yeah, that's total bullshit. I mean, like,
Yeah, I okay. I call bullshit for a whole host of reasons, but let me pick and choose my battles here. Just that sentence where you tie nerddom to the MCU is in and of itself somewhat misleading. Why? Because comic book superhero genre has been the whipping boy of Hollywood itself for so pretty much since its inception. So even just refusing to acknowledge how far we've come by virtue of the fact that the MCU exists annoys me here. The fact that the MCU exists is in and of itself a point of pride for nerddom because it means that we have become that we have actually earned our place on the stage, which many people from Gavin McGinnis to Bill Maher to Frederick Wortham to Anita Sarkeesian would straight up deny us a lot of the time. So let's just be entirely honest about that. We have fought long and hard to even get to this point in nerd culture acceptance, and I don't want to hear this. But women have it worse though.
bullshit.
Unless you actually have an argument. Do
I
you
have,
actually have an
yeah,
argument, Eric?
I have three older sisters who are pretty much non-nerds, and even they love the MCU. Like we would go to watch the movies all the time. So it's really not about whether you are a man or a woman. It's about whether or not you can appreciate these films and these characters and the messages that they have.
Yeah.
And that's regardless of gender.
Yeah, and once again, the issue I think you're coming up against, Mary Sue, writer, is when you say female, you mean feminist. And yes, feminist fans of these characters are likely to be ostracized and shamed a little bit because feminism has this annoying tendency of taking over an art form and then destroying it from the inside. And I'm sorry, but yes, many people are going to have a problem with that, especially when your ideology stands directly between people and the things they enjoy or find value or merit in. That will get you quite a few nasty messages, but that doesn't mean that women are marginalized in geek spaces. That means that feminism as an ideology is not welcome in female spaces. And that's not even saying that feminists aren't welcome in female spaces, because a feminist that can actually turn her ideology off and enjoy things for their own merits will not be called out because people won't even notice her. Your issue is that your ideology isn't being directly catered to. And I'm sorry, but nerd culture is a culture that is very heavily focused on expertise, um,
Merit.
merit, and minutia. If you're not interested in expertise, merit, and minutia, or you don't for some reason pathologically think those things exist in the first place,
Yeah.
you are not going to be welcome in a geek space. I'm
Yeah.
sorry, but that's just how
Here's
that
one
works.
thing that I remember reading. It's like women are being ostracized because people challenge what they know about um, nerdy subjects. And like trivia battles happen all the time in nerd culture amongst men too, and women versus women, and men versus women. It's like it's essentially street cred
Yeah,
for nerds. How much you
that's
know about the subject that you are a fan of.
that's how you determine that you are actually supposed to be there and aren't just co-opting nerd culture.
Yeah, and it
And
gets respect.
you would think an ideology that is so heavily focused on cultural appropriation would not be confused by the idea that people don't like when people come into nerd spaces and appropriate their culture without knowing a goddamn thing. So that's why there is the metal testing there. We want to make sure that we're in the presence of actual nerds and not just people who essentially hooked up to a fad because it's the cool hot thing right now. Basically.
And I think we've mentioned this many times, and I might have mentioned this myself on many times of these podcasts, is that, the people who say they like the MCU and all the superhero stuff that's coming out in the movies are probably the people who picked on us like no more than like maybe 10, 15 years ago on, because we like that stuff.
Yeah, and I would actually consider that a step in the right direction because I would rather people come around to the idea that this stuff isn't inherently invalid rather than not be picked on. I want to be able to walk into the upper echelons of Hollywood one day and say, you guys all said that comic books or superheroes couldn't be art, that they didn't have any place in like the institutions of high art or cinema or whatever, and you were definitively wrong. That's much more satisfying to me than comic book movies becoming quote unquote normal, because that's the problem I always had with the X-Men movies. They, instead of fully embracing their genre, decided they were going to take out all the defining qualities that define a superhero movie and just turn the X-Men into a generic sci-fi action movie. And that's not the way you win. That is the way you sell out.
I think it's one of the reasons why Deadpool was so popular because it fully embraced
what
everything
Deadpool
about the
was
character.
and didn't just turn it into another generic action movie.
Yeah.
It's a hollow victory if you gain the respect of people, but at the cost of selling out everything you are.
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
comic book movies can become accepted, but only by becoming the same as every other movie, then comic book movies haven't actually become accepted. They've just sold their souls. There's a famous phrase, what profits a man if he gains the whole world and loses his soul? That's the standard to which I held comic book movies. If you can make a comic book movie that normies will love, but that aren't actually very comic booky, then you have not successfully made comic book movies mainstream. You've made movies that are mainstream that ape the shit out of comic book aesthetics.
Okay, so shall we move on?
Yes.
Okay.
Proceed.
All right. So imagine my shock as I listened. Again, like this is more like kind of opinion than anything. It's not an actual.
Well, it's bluster. It's not even presenting really an opinion. I'm going to assert some things, and I'm not going to offer any sort of justification for why I believe the things I believe. I'm just going to assert them.
Right. Okay. So imagine my shock as I listened on a radio show while a man praised Marvel for pushing. I don't know why I said publishing. For pushing boundaries and being innovative, for having a story like Rocket Raccoon and Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1. While it was being used to mock DC's lack of faith in a female-led movie, the comment also put into focus the fact that many male fans don't seemingly see a problem with Marvel's lack of female representation.
No,
We're just
we
happy the
don't.
movies are getting made.
Yeah, do you want to know why it's more important to us that movies like or that characters like Rocket Raccoon get introduced than it is that a certain proportion of the MCU be female? It's because the boundaries that are pushed when Rocket Raccoon and the rest of the Guardians are introduced are conceptual boundaries. They're the boundaries of weirdness and what is acceptable in this art form. And as any comic book fan worth their salt can tell you, comics are weird, and that's exactly how we like them. So when we see comic book movies and they are so definitively normal, it feels hollow because the heart and soul of the genre isn't actually present there to be found. But movies like Guardians move the Overton window and allow the weirdness threshold to go up, so people are more accepting of the weird shit that are in comics.
Yeah.
It doesn't push any thresholds to have more female characters in comic book movies because that is pushing a political boundary, not an idea, not a creative or conceptual one. And people are more interested in pushing creative or conceptual boundaries than they are in pushing political ones because here's a shocker for you, Mary Sue. Like I said, identities are not teams, and most people don't even notice the demographical aspects of a character unless it is directly pointed out or made relevant to them.
Like Captain Marvel.
I.e., it doesn't matter whether a character is a male or woman because most people aren't interested. Most people aren't interested in whether the character is a man or woman. They're interested in the actual personality, interests, abilities, nuances, etc. of the character, and that doesn't include gender because most people don't even notice gender.
What he said. Ian, you got anything to add?
No, that pretty much covers it.
Yeah. No, I'm not sure what radio show is he talking about? It's the question for me.
I think it doesn't even matter what radio show.
I'm sure of this. I'm sure this story is true. I mean, I'm sure that there are plenty of geek related like podcasts and things that talk about things like this.
Yeah.
Given that that's probably something that you or I would say, I don't necessarily like the person who you were listening to in this podcast clearly understood this genre better than you, writer from the Mary Sue.
Right, okay. Common also put into focus the fact that many male fans don't seemingly see a problem with almost like a female representation. You covered that already.
Well, she mentions Guardians of the Galaxy. Guardians of the Galaxy was an ensemble piece, and so
Yeah,
was Avengers.
Yeah,
Like there have
and
been female heroes throughout the MCU, and like just because there's never been one that had like a lead in a movie doesn't mean that people don't love the female characters that are taken up. Because a lot of people like Scarlet Witch, a lot of people love Scarlett Johansson's Black Widow. People like Gamora. So really, this isn't a genre problem; it's a you problem.
yep.
yeah, and here's another sort of layer to this. I would bet dollars to donuts that you would see the abundance of characters who are male in the MCU as a problem because it caters too heavily to the quote unquote male experience. To which my standard response of identities are not teams is one answer, but also nothing specific to the male experience is reflected in the male characters. What
Also,
is
that just have something. This like there are scenes in movies in these movies that specifically cater to women. Like the scene where Thor takes his shirt off was not included for the male audience.
well, at least not the straight male audience.
Yes, but you got what I'm saying.
As a bisexual person, I can tell you there were quite a lot of male audience members that were obviously being catered to with that.
Yeah, but you get the
Okay.
point I'm trying to make overall, though.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I just said that mostly to be funny and point out the kind of exception to the rule. But back to what I was saying. You think that there being a bunch of men in something caters to something specific about the male experience because in your mind or in your ideology, ideas flow directly from identity, i.e., something about the ideas that men come up with reflects something about them as people. Wrong, my dear. Nothing about the predominance of male characters reflects the male experience. It reflects the experience or the attributes of people who share attributes with those characters.
What
And
the
that
hell was
doesn't even necessarily mean literal
Sorry,
attributes.
that
It
was
could mean aspects of personality. Um, and those characters don't reflect the male experience. None of those characters are MRA characters, if you want to phrase it that way. Those characters are individuals with individual attributes and individual journeys that they are going on. There's nothing universally male about the male characters in the MCU. They are individuals with individual attributes. And what's more, they don't share aspects of masculinity. Because look at it this way. Thor is very much a bro. Like, he is probably the most stereotypically masculine character in the MCU to this point. But you also have, before him no less, a brainy engineer who is frankly quite skinny, who is very much not excessively masculine in the form of Tony Stark. You have a world-weary mystical scholar in the form of Doctor Strange. That's not very stereotypically masculine.
you
You
have
have
the Boy Scout with Captain America.
Yeah, which you could loosely call masculine, especially because his powers are physical strength based. But do we really need to point out how his personality doesn't change when his body grows like it does? He's still the aw shucks, all American boyish Boy Scout, and there's nothing particularly masculine about his personality before that either, other than the fact that he kind of wants to serve his I or serve his country. And that has nothing to do with him wanting to be this big macho soldier person. That has to do with him wanting to experience self-sacrifice because he feels compelled to do it because he finds American values to be something worth fighting for.
right?
Yes.
All right. Before we move on, E, are you okay? Like with the noise that happened earlier?
No, I'm fine. That was just the
That's
oven.
what happens
I'm
when he
making
moves
dinner
around
right now.
because
I
his mic
apologize.
is here.
Okay, I didn't catch any of that because Dalton talked over you.
I'm making dinner right now.
Okay. All right. So, oh, sorry.
Yeah, but yeah, men are not all the same. They have different motivations, different desires, and there's different forms of being masculine. Like Tony Stark, I would say, is a masculine character, but he's masculine in that he
It was
takes
a
charge of situations. He uses his brain. He doesn't take shit from people, and I would call those maybe not traditionally masculine traits, but they are masculine traits. They all, but these people think that masculinity is just one thing. Hold on, I'm getting a phone call.
okay. So you want to move on, Dalton?
Yep.
Okay. So a talking raccoon. That's genius and innovative, and shows how Marvel was willing to do anything in 2014. That alone, that right there, kind of seems like a pretentious.
Yeah, that's deliberately condescending, but finish the sentence so she can finish her thought, and then I'm going to respond to this.
Right. ... Anything except have a female-led film.
Okay. You're going to make me repeat myself, writer of the Mary Sue, but I'll do it because I cannot put fine enough point on this. Yes, Rocket Raccoon shows a greater propensity to push conceptual boundaries because in most genres, a talking raccoon would be laughed out of the uh would be laughed off the stage. That is why a lot of people turn to comic books, because comic books have a broader range of what is conceptually plausible than most genres. That's what people go to comic books for. Comic books are weird, and that is exactly how we like them. It is not weird for there to be female characters. It pushes no conceptual boundaries. There's nothing exceptionally high concept about female characters, because once again, the gender of a character is probably the least important trait to the majority of the viewership and audiences, because identities are not teams. So it is more substantive and more creative and more boundary pushing to have a talking raccoon that fires weapons and is an experiment from a basically celestial entity than it is to have a woman in it, because women being in something is just kind of neutral to most people, because identities are not teams. In the same way that people see characters like Thor, Iron Man, Captain America, and Doctor Strange as characters long before they even introduce the idea that they are men. If you were to define characters like those, and the first thing you started with is they're a man, people would look at you and say you have said nothing substantive, because you have effectively said nothing substantive. Not because men is considered the default, but because them being men has fuck all to do with the intricacies of their character.
Yeah, I think it's more important that Thor is a god than that he's a man.
Yeah.
And he's a prince who has to kind of prove himself worthy to be a king.
Yeah.
Even though he's lived spoiled for most of his life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because he's a god. And
yeah.
And a prince.
Yeah.
And a warrior.
Mm-hmm.
All three
until now.
All three of those specifications say much more about him, even just implicitly, than saying he is a male character. Not because men is considered the default, but because telling us a person's gender does not say anything meaningful about their personality or their character.
Doesn't determine who they are.
Unless you tie a bunch of extraneous ideological stuff to a person's gender, like you do identitarian people. This is your problem. You, as a feminist, tie a person's ideas together with their identity and say that their ideas are an expression of their identity, or their personality is an extension of their identity. Whereas we are looking at this saying their identity is incidental. What are their ideas and what are their personalities like? What are their worldviews like? So on and so forth. Your gender does not directly correlate to your worldview. And there's where your hangup is, because you genuinely believe that all worldviews generated by men are an expression of the male experience, and all worldviews linked to women are an expression of womanhood. It's not so. Identities are not teams, and they're not expressing anything universal about the male or female experience. They're expressing individualistic attributes that are more indicative of their personality, and that has absolutely fuck all to do with their gender.
Right. I think I was going to say something. Right. I was going to correlate with what you were saying, Dalton, about how we don't see the gender at first when we judge a character or a person, mostly.
Because like E said, it's not a definitive aspect of who they are. It is an incidental part of who they are.
Right.
It defines nothing. It just is. It's information, but that information doesn't exist within any kind of framework or doesn't correlate to anything.
I was going to kind of do a quick brainstorm here and just give a description of a character. And this character was born into what is essentially an assassin cult, a religious cult of assassins, right?
Mm-hmm.
This character, for 18 years of their life, they have been a warrior, a killer, believing what they were doing was by the hand of God. Now, as they turn 18, they see that the cult has used them as a weapon, as a that they force that basically they were a tool of man. They were not God's righteous weapon as they were led to believe for most of their life.
This Azrael?
It's the character itself is someone I created, but it was based off of Azrael.
Mm-hmm.
But a crisis of faith, and now decides not to take any more lives and instead be a hero. So
Yeah. See, that description, we didn't hear the gender, but we learned a lot more about the character.
yeah, it is a dude, by the way, but that's inconsequential.
Yeah, it's a piece of information, not a quality of the character.
Okay, so let's move on. Oh boy, this sentence. Okay, so anything except have a female-led film or LGBTQ plus characters, or really anything that would be outside the status quo in a truly meaningful way.
What does
Okay. Let me go, because I'm gonna have to make a version of this point again, but I'm glad because I can't ever put too much of a fine point on it. Somehow, in your mind, writer from the Mary Sue, having a character who is female or LGBTQ would be more outside of the status quo in a meaningful way than a sapient raccoon with a fetish for violence and guns and weaponry.
Who actually is an emotionally damaged test subject who hides the pain of being left alone and being part of a family by being an asshole.
Yeah, but to you, somehow, a character of a different gender or sexual persuasion is more meaningfully outside the status quo than a character who is a different species, different different like from a different section of the universe, and who has an extremely high concept sci-fi backstory. I do not know how your mind must work
it doesn't?
to believe that simply changing something as incidental and arbitrary as the gender is more outside the anything resembling a conceptual status quo than a person of a different species with an extremely high concept sci-fi backstory. How exactly can you manage that? Because I can tell you that when it comes to actually pushing conceptual boundaries, the raccoon has you beat here. Because again, most people don't even care about someone's gender identity well, people care about their like sexual and romantic interests, but because it reflects them as a character. Who someone loves does very much relate to who they are as a character and can affect them on a deeply personal level. So there is more of a care about who someone loves or who someone is sexually interested in than their gender. But the point still stands. Them being gay really has nothing to do with it. It's how does that affect their romantic relationships or perfect example, Hulkley and Wiccan. They are gay. They are one of the greatest gay couples in
Yeah,
any
I like them.
medium, full stop, let alone in comics.
I don't know anything about them, so that might be a
Well,
recommendation.
can I say something, Dalton?
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, they're gay, they're together, but each character is their own character, and each character has their own story.
Yeah.
Hulkling's story is that he's the half Kree, half Skrull son of the original Captain Marvel and the Skrull princess, making him the heir to the Skrull Empire. And he has to kind of deal with that dual nature and a sort of destiny that he has to unite those two races. Wiccan's story is that he is the son of Scarlet Witch and Vision reincarnated, and he has vastly powerful reality altering abilities, and he has to try and struggle with how best to use those, and also his destiny of becoming a being called the Demiurge, which actually and which is like on a multiversal scale powerful, and actually ends up creating the was it like the utopian parallel or something like that?
Yeah,
Like he creates a perfect world, and he has to try and live up to that destiny.
yeah. And let me walk you through why this point pisses me off, writer of the Mary Sue, as a bisexual person. Because if you changed one or the other of their genders, it would not change them, and you kept everything else the same. It would not change their romantic chemistry. The only reason why we care about their sexuality is because it reflects upon who they are interested in romantically, how they are going to interact with their romantic love interest, and so on and so forth. And we care even less about someone's gender because someone's gender doesn't necessarily correlate with their personality. Yes, men and women do have psychological aspects, which I guarantee you,
Yeah.
Mary Sue writer, would probably call me sexist for saying because you think that all gender is a social construct.
I mean,
And
Hulkling is literally a shape shifting alien. If he wanted to be a woman, he fully could.
yeah, that's the other thing. If he wanted to be a woman, it would be entirely within his power to. But somehow you, writer of the Mary Sue, who believes that uh, gender is entirely a social construct and therefore is completely arbitrary and completely malleable, are more authoritarian when it comes to gender expression than me, who believes that gender generally correlates to certain psychological and neurological aspects of the human fucking nervous system. And yet you're the more authoritarian one in regards to the concept of gender. Do you see how that's fucked up? Do you see how you should care even less than I do about what gender these characters are, and yet you care infinitely more? You see how that's kind of fucked up?
Hey, Dalton.
Yeah.
Writer's name is Rachel.
Okay. So I can start calling her by her name
Yeah.
I do when I get incredibly pissed off with these writers.
Yeah,
Um,
Rachel Leishman.
that name is familiar to me, and I don't know why. I suspect it's because this is one of the writers of the Honey Badger slander article,
Right. Okay.
that ended up getting the Mary Sue fucking sued.
What'd you say your name was?
Rachel Lee.
Reichman.
Hold on. Let me see if I can pull it up.
I have never had any interaction with a woman named Rachel ever. Never, not even since I was a child. It's like some weird curse.
I've had a couple, but mostly because my first female crush was on a girl named Rachel.
Only thing that comes to mind when I hear Rachel is Batman, Dark Knight, Nolan. Yeah.
You mean the character that really should have been Vicky Vale?
Probably.
Yeah, if we're being entirely honest, that was kind of fucked up. Why they didn't just reuse Vicky Vale? But regardless, let's get back into this and see how deep Rachel's madness goes here.
Right. Okay, to this day, I can count the number of female-led action films without needing to pull up IMDb.
I bet that claim is bullshit.
Yeah.
Okay, once again, Rachel, here's the problem. Because you don't see a female character as a female character unless they are ideologically feminist. Think about Daisy, not Daisy Ridley, but Ridley from Aliens. Think about Black Widow. Think about Scarlet Witch. Think about the bride from Kill Bill. Think about all of those female characters. I suspect that you would say that those are insufficient female representation
I
because
mean, think about Alice from Resident Evil or Celine from Underworld.
yeah, I would bet money on the fact that you would say that those female characters are insufficiently representative because they cater too much to the male gaze and or they adopt masculine roles, which says to me that you are only interested in female characters when they are ideologically both hyper feminine and also feminist, which means oppression narrative. Yeah. So that is your issue here. You aren't interested in female characters, you're interested in feminist characters. And you're not even interested in 99% of the feminist characters out
Also,
there.
why does it have to be the lead? What's wrong with having a woman who's a co-star in an action movie who can kick ass? Like the character Anderson from the Judge Dredd movie that came out with Carl Urban. She wasn't the lead, but she kicked a lot of ass and she was an amazing character.
Because if female characters are co-leads, that just puts them on an equal footing with men. And given that the male perspective has dominated the majority of action movies, she would call it only fair that there are some that are exclusively female action movies. I think is where she would go with that. But that's the thing. You aren't even interested in the majority of feminist characters because I guarantee you have issues with characters like Jessie Spano, who is a second wave feminist, or Buffy, because even though they are explicitly feminist characters, they're feminist characters from the 90s, and during the 90s was when the second wave was in full swing. You're only interested in ideologically feminine and feminist characters that align specifically with the newly formed oppression binary of the Hegelian third wave of feminism and also the patriarchy theory of women being oppressed throughout history by men and other people and other minorities and so on and so forth. I'm gonna
her
put
thoughts
some
on
money
Red
on that.
Sonja would be.
Huh?
But I wonder what her thoughts on Red Sonja would be.
My thinking is depending on whether she wanted to be sympathetic to it or not, she would probably say that Red Sonja was bad because she only became badass by adopting masculine traits, and she couldn't just radiate femininity all over the place and have the world cater to her for reasons.
But if she was very feminine, then they would be calling it out too.
I mean, did you see that? Did you not see her chainmail bikini? That's pretty feminine.
I have not seen that movie, so I mean, like I know about the character, but
yeah, but
if they wanted to make a Red Sonja movie, I'd be all about it.
Yeah, I suspect that her logic would be because Red Sonja uses violence and intimidation and weaponry, that means she's being masculine, which means that femininity is being portrayed as a weakness. And if she's overly feminine and that results in her being servile, then that just means that traditional femininity is a slave mentality created by the patriarchy to oppress women and give them internalized Stockholm syndrome so that they'll be okay with their own oppression. Would be my guess.
Okay. Whatever. I'm just hearing a lot of stupid talk.
Yeah, let's get back into the actual
because there's well, I kind of do want to get through this one because we got another one, but I don't know if we can cover it. Yeah.
Well, if we don't get to cover the other one you had, then we can always save that for next week.
Yeah.
But
okay, so I know all of them because there aren't that many out there in the world. So the idea that Marvel should be praised for a talking raccoon while they still didn't have a female-led film is laughable. That was in 2014.
Because a talking raccoon is a greater conceptual leap than a woman.
For the record, I don't really remember there being much. There was praise about the movie itself, but not the character of Rocket Raccoon.
Well, the praise she's talking about is not praise from like the critics. In this case, she's talking about the fact that the fans like Rocket Raccoon more than they do Captain Marvel.
Well, actually, it's funny that you mention her. She's in the next sentence.
Oh gosh. Yep. I should have known. But yeah, the reason why people find it easier to like Rocket Raccoon is because he is a better handled character than Captain Marvel.
Yeah, he's enjoyable to watch and read about.
Yeah, and his very nature pushes the conceptual boundaries more than an attribute which I will remind you most people don't give a fuck about because it's a non-substantive part of someone's personality or interests. To everyone except an identitarian fuckwit or an identity politician. It's
also Rocket has limitations. There are things that he can't do, like he can't outmuscle Drax, or he can't swing a sword like Gamora. So he has to play into the things that are his strengths, and
which is the tech.
Yeah,
he's a genius, and he's a conniving thief. So what is he good at? He's good with things that require a lot of intelligence, and he's good at manipulating people because a thief generally has to be pretty good at manipulating people, or at least get
also
people
he's
to pay
capable of being sneaky
not pay
because
attention to him.
he is a raccoon.
Yeah,
and he wears a bandit mask. So.
Also, his relationship with other characters. Like his relationship is Groot. It's part of what endeared him to people.
Yeah. And they really expand. And Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, even though it's not like as solid as the first one, it
no, it's not as good as the first one, but they still gave Rocket a lot to do with Yondu.
Yeah, and they really expanded his character. You know, like how he's an asshole because he's scared of letting people in, and that is actually something I can very much relate to.
Yeah, because if you let people in, then there's a possibility that they might hurt you, or
Yes.
that you leave yourself vulnerable.
I really
might lose them eventually, and then you'll have to deal with the emotional repercussions of that.
Yeah, I relate more to a CGI raccoon than I do Captain Marvel.
Not because of her gender, but because you simply have created a character who is utterly unrelatable because she has no defining qualities other than her gender and the framework that you insist that gender puts her in by default.
Yeah. Okay, so kind of on the track of Captain Marvel, she mentions Marvel wouldn't release Captain Marvel until 2019. So, ... a talking raccoon. Let's praise that, but women can continue to take a back seat, right?
No one thought that because no one is taking part in the gender war that you are insisting exists. Because, to reiterate, gender is to most people a completely irrelevant aspect of someone's identity and personality. Therefore, no one is sitting there thinking, haha, we have prevented women from getting ahead yet again.
There's no actual patriarchal meeting where people conspire about this type of thing.
Yeah, all praise to the patriarchy. We have denied women a role yet again. No one is thinking that. The only people that are thinking that, my dears, are you, because you have created this ideological framework where you consider that to be an ideologically valid thing to do. But like I said, male characters don't relate to the male experience, but you keep insisting that female characters cock directly to your definition, which I insist is only your definition of the female experience, which most females likely even have a problem with. So there.
I did want to bring up something because I want I watch a lot of fan trailers and stuff. Stuff that people make, kind of clips and stuff.
Mhm.
And I mentioned this before a few times, is that the Captain Marvel trailers are like super boring and all, right? Like there's nothing really attached me to those characters at all.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is that the fan trailers make me actually kind of care about Carol Danvers, which is weird, even though I've
Yes,
seen,
the thing
Al-
is, in
al-
those
al-
trailers, you never get the sense that at any point she is in danger.
yeah.
Almost like if your movie is made by people who believe that artistic merit doesn't exist or is a subjective delusion of people, you will create something with such an absence of merit or value to it that people will not care.
A part of me kind of wants to try and gather enough clips of Captain Marvel and like make my own trailer and see which is better than the act. See
And if
which.
you want to subject yourself to that movie, go ahead. I'm not going to stop you, but
Oh no, I was just gonna grab the trailers and maybe a couple clips off YouTube and just put them together. Maybe some better music.
He's going to try to make a more interesting version of the Captain Marvel trailers.
Maybe, I don't
Best of
know.
luck. I think that's mostly a fruitless endeavor at this point, but best of luck.
Yeah. Okay. So, talking raccoon, let's praise that. But women can continue to take a back seat, right? They never really took a back seat, honestly. Like
Yeah,
the
this is your problem. Because you believe that women are oppressed, you see the default as female oppression. Therefore, women just being neutral must be oppression because people aren't going out of their way to fix the oppression that you have already presupposed exists.
the way
But
sorry.
it but in a framework that women aren't oppressed, you might be able to look at women being treated neutrally and see that they're just being treated neutrally. No one is ignoring female oppression. It's just that people don't accept your notion of female oppression because your notion of female oppression is very much ill defined and ill conceived within a framework that makes no logical sense in a fundamental level. People treating women neutrally is not them tacitly condoning the furtherance of women's oppression. People don't generally oppress women in actuality. That's the fundamental thing you're missing here. People aren't condoning female oppression because there is no female oppression, generally speaking, to condone. And where anyone can point out a genuine instance of female oppression, so many people are livid that we are probably likely to start a war over it. So I take no points, my lady. You have failed to acknowledge how human nature works.
The weird thing is I get the sense that she's trying to infer that Rocket Raccoon, because she singled him out, is like he has his own movie that like I think part of her is thinking maybe Rocket Raccoon gets his own movie and it does better than Captain Marvel or something.
it
No,
probably
because
would.
Yeah,
this is
probably.
this is why she's upset. Remember what I said in the title about how the only people that care about norms are people that are insisting on the norms being catered to, and the people that want all norms to be transgressed. She is one of those people, and therefore she is inherently looking at Rocket Raccoon saying, "That's so not normal. How can people care more about that than women?"
I should
But
see what.
she's already done the mistake thing of what's so weird or abnormal about a talking wreck? What's so invalid about him not being normal? Why does him being normal or not normal even relate to whether he's relatable or not? You're pulling the exact same quasi traditionalist shit you hate, but you're doing it to make your ideology look good.
And if you want to talk
That's
about characters that are odd but are definitively liked more than Captain Marvel, she should have gone after Groot.
True.
I don't think she would have because Groot is too cute. Rocket's also an asshole, so she can pen the toxic masculinity nature on him,
You should see
even
what
just subconsciously.
you guys should hear what she writes next because it's I don't know if it's funny or sad or both or
Probably sad.
Just let's go with it, and we'll see.
Okay, I'm sorry. Maybe I've been oversensitive, but then again, comic
Yes.
viewers have the right to be. We're consistently get questioned about our knowledge. Again, you guys brought that up earlier. Is that's
Everyone does. It's how you establish you know things, because nerd culture is a culture that is obsessed with knowledge, passion, expertise, and merit.
Mhm.
Your problem, my dear, is that you come from an ideology that doesn't believe in knowledge, passion, expertise, or merit actually mattering, or you actively believe that they're destructive illusions, so you try to actively avoid them. And then you come into a space that is fundamentally defined by knowledge, passion, expertise, and merit, and you wonder to yourself, why are people so obsessed with knowledge, passion, expertise, and merit? I must be being oppressed by this false notion that merit matters and that merit even exists. Therefore, we should create a different kind of geek culture where merit doesn't matter and merit doesn't even meaningfully exist. And then people get mad at you. And then when people inevitably get mad at you for taking away their knowledge, passion, expertise, and merit, you think to yourself, only people who are naive or delusional would care about knowledge, passion, expertise, and merit. They must be doing this to go out of their way to oppress us because we're women or minorities. No,
Blah 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 blah. I'm just
we
hearing that.
just care that knowledge, passion, expertise, and merit are in things because we don't consider them negative, destructive illusions. We consider them the reasons why people do things.
Hmm.
End of story.
Uh, okay, hold on. So she brings this up. Even Gail Simone, who is literally a comic book writer, is
A
constantly
bad one.
questioning. I'm sorry, what?
A bad one.
Okay, is constantly questioned about her knowledge by male fans. Again, even if you're a writer, you get questioned about this stuff to prove that you are a fan.
Yeah, especially if you're a writer, because a writer in in these kind of mediums is a very high status position, and we get very touchy when we believe or when we're led to believe that people who occupy high status positions don't deserve to be there. So we test them to ensure a level of competence. In other words, we want to make sure that the hierarchy of authority justifies itself, which is a thing that I would imagine you guys of all people would be fine with, considering that you see everything through the lens of authority and power because you think that authority and power exist independently of merit and that merit is a harmful illusion. Yet again.
In other words, no one at Marvel should be at Marvel right now. The comic
Well,
company.
at least quite a few of them.
True, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, e-viewing, people feel that her Ironheart run is actually kind of good. Okay, that may be so, but she should never. But still, she should never been hired in the first place.
Yeah. Okay, so we actually don't have a lot left. There are like only 2 paragraphs left.
Merciful heavens, they actually managed a short one. Thank God.
But because it's us, we'll probably be here for like another hour or so.
This is true. Well, I mean, it takes 3 seconds to spray shit all over the room. It takes all day to clean up the shit thereafter. So
Every time we do these articles, maybe we should have a drinking game when you say that because I think you said it the last couple of streams.
well, it's one of my favorite quotes because I first heard it from a YouTuber called Goodfella, and it made so much sense to me that it's just now become one of my favorite things to say, especially because I tend to go on long substance-filled rants, and people go at me like, "Why are your rants so long and like autistically substance-filled?" And then I can say that, and then people automatically get it because it's very visceral imagery and shit,
Mhm.
literally.
Okay, so this isn't to say that all male fans are this way. I learned about comics through my older brother, and I thank him constantly for my knowledge, mainly because I love talking about superheroes. But also, whenever a man feels the need to question me, I can school him, which honestly shouldn't be how we
Yes,
function.
it's almost as though knowing things and being knowledgeable, passionate, and expertise laden is a point of pride. So why are you denying other people the attribute of attempting to school other people? And why are you denying other women the joy of knowing what it's like to be knowledgeable, passionate, and expertise laden about these things?
Mm-hmm.
Or are we supposed to believe that even though you enjoy being knowledgeable, passionate, expertise laden, etc., you still find this to be a negative thing that you wish didn't happen? And if so, why do you hate your own competence? That is a very good question that I do not think I'm ever going to get the answers to, but I'm still going to ask it. Why
Yeah,
do
the
you
thing,
hate
I,
your own competence?
yeah, I just finished dinner, so I'm gonna go and eat.
okay.
Okay, cool.
All right,
See
it was
you.
good talking to you guys. If you guys want me on next time, I'd be down for that. Unless there's something else I got to do.
No problem.
Okay,
All
cool.
right,
All right. See you, man.
Watch
see.
when you get back, watch the rest of the stream so you can vicariously experience the stupid.
You. Okay, see you guys.
Peace.
See ya.
Okay.
And then there were two again.
As they always have been. The way of the Sith and the Jedi. Though I think I'm more of a, honestly, I'd say I'm more Sith than Jedi.
And if I got to choose where I was at in the Star Wars universe, I think I would end up on Dathomir and become a sorcerer of the planet Dathomir.
A Night
Because
Brother.
yeah, that well, the Night Brothers and Night Sisters is one like coven of witches. In the EU at least, there was more than one coven.
Mm.
I wouldn't call myself a Night Brother because the Night Sisters are extremely sexist about their magical knowledge, and they don't teach men typically.
Hmm. Okay. That's interesting. Maybe we'll do a Star Wars themed episode sometime. Probably when episode 9 comes out.
I'm sure that will happen. Forgive the noises. That was my cat wanting to chime in because reasons.
Yeah. Okay. Did I cover this entire? Well, no. Okay. What I was going to say is that, she says honestly, I can. Okay. Also, whenever a man feels the need to question me, I can school him, which honestly shouldn't be how we function. I mean, in a way, yeah, she's right, but also we test one another to see which one, to also better ourselves too.
Okay,
And
that is where she's getting this from. You don't believe that being you don't believe that schooling someone or being able to is a good thing. You don't believe we should exist in a world where conflicts happen and people come out as winners and losers of those conflicts. How then do you expect anything to ever A, improve, or B, even stay the same? Because if you remove the tension or friction of entropy from any given system, that system will stagnate, and in its stagnation will degrade. In any given system. This isn't just people or human psychology we're talking about, although it is a necessary component of human psychology thanks to evolution. It's also to do with systems of just physical laws. Your premise of there should be no conflict and everyone should just be basically happy with bland mediocrity will result in there being fewer wonderful things in the world. And it will result in much less competent and substantive human beings.
think of the movie. Think of that movie.
Idiocracy?
Thank you.
Yeah. In the absence of anyone's needs to be functional or intelligent or strong or any other positive attribute, there will be less of that positive attribute. Not only is your premise logically kind of repugnant, but it's also repugnant to everything we know about the physical laws of the goddamn universe. Fuck you, Rachel. Fuck you to every conceivable star in the universe and back again.
Okay. So you done with that?
Yep.
Okay. I shouldn't have to have a bunch of knowledge about something just so when a man feels like he knows more, I can defend myself. That makes
No, Rachel, no, I agree. You shouldn't have to have knowledge so that you can defend yourself. You should have knowledge for knowledge's own sake.
yeah, I
Because
do.
because knowledge is in and of itself worth having, because merit exists and value exists, and things are substantive in this universe of ours. That's where your disconnect is coming from. Because you believe that merit and value don't exist, you find any insistence upon maintaining it arbitrary and even oppressive. It's not.
Stupid.
The only reason why these things are the way they are in the first place is because evolution, to some extent or other, made them that way. Because we live in a meritocratic universe where things that are worthwhile are maintained and things that are not worthwhile are not.
Hmm.
So, my dear, knowledge is valuable for its own sake. If you don't believe that, then I'm sorry for you, but that is very much your problem. Your inability to see the inherent worth of knowledge, skill, passion, etc. is your problem. It is not a flaw in the universe. The universe is functioning just as it is supposed to. And you know what? Even if I could snap my fingers and change the laws of physics, I wouldn't, because I genuinely believe that a system of earned value, a system where things matter inherently without any human intervention and are sought out by humans because humans are impacted by the universe in which they live, is a better system than the alternative. Once again, fuck you, Rachel. And once again, I apologize for any of the meows. If you guys can hear those, that is my cat being noisy.
You're good. I have a dog, remember?
Right.
No,
But
she doesn't bark a lot, only when there are like strangers around.
ah,
There's a dog right behind us across the alley of our house. That thing barks
yeah.
constantly.
My brother has a dog too. I'm sure you guys have heard it from
Multiple
every now
times,
and
yeah.
again on live streams and stuff.
Multiple times.
But
Yeah.
usually he's in the other room, and and
Multiple
my cat
times.
decided to come in the room and meow directly next to my ear. So there's that.
Mm, okay. So, what was it? What was it? Honestly, I would have to disagree too. To have, you should have a bunch of knowledge, even though it's not just for the fact to defend yourself when you get quizzed about said knowledge.
Yeah, no, it's because knowledge is inherently worthwhile.
Yeah, it's the whole old saying, knowledge is power.
Yeah. And not power to necessarily do anything, but power in the sense that it makes you a better person.
Hmm.
And if you truly love something, you shouldn't consider gaining knowledge about that thing to be a chore or a or a burden. The hallmark, at least for me and most nerds, for loving something is I love this thing, therefore I am going to learn as much as I can conceivably know about that thing. And
Yeah,
the fact, Rachel, that you don't seem to have that impulse that I love this thing, I want to learn as much as I can about it impulse naturally suggests to me that maybe you don't actually love it. Maybe you are uh, exactly as impacted by people's sociological input as you say everyone else is. And in that case, if I'm right about that, it would suggest to me that you and a lot of other people who think like you are projecting. And once again, please don't project your inherent flaws or inherent weaknesses onto us. We don't think that things are awesome just because people tell us they're awesome. And we will maintain that things are awesome even when many, many, many thousands of people disagree with us. That is the essence of being a nerd. People told us that our stuff sucked, and we said, no, fuck you, it's awesome, and we'll show you one day. That is the correct response to these things, and that is also the defining characteristic of being a nerd. When
and
everyone tells you this isn't worth learning about or that this isn't worth knowing for its own sake, you tell them to fuck off, and you get increasingly more knowledgeable about the thing, and then you conspire to one day show them how awesome this material actually is. And that is where we get the MCU from in the first place. That is the half of the story that you are leaving out here that I think it would be very helpful for you if you did have. Because if you could understand that that's what being a nerd is, I don't think you would be making this article. And I certainly don't think you would be arbitrarily putting political import above meritocratic import, because you would see why it's important that merit exists. Not just that it exists, but why it's important that it does.
Mm-hmm. Damn it! I had something and I lost it.
I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. That's why people come here anyway, for your rants.
They come here for you too. I mean, I certainly enjoy hearing you brainstorm about your various ideas for things, because I honestly thought I was the only one that did that. So it's nice
I
that
have an
somebody.
entire channel made for it. So,
Yeah.
though granted, I get no views. So, yeah.
Well, I mean, I barely get 10 views per video when I upload a video anyway. So it's not like we're not in the same boat there.
Yeah.
How many subscribers do you have right at the moment?
On this channel or my main channel?
Your main one.
I'd have to look, but I think maybe 10 at best.
Okay, so I am actually doing just a little bit better than you. I have 63. But how often do you upload videos on that channel?
Every couple months. It's just because I have so many other projects I'm doing, and plus this podcast.
Yeah, I try to upload once or twice a week, but there are times when 2 week stretches will go by and I haven't uploaded a video. Like
Yeah.
this week, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
yeah, I think if we both were more consistent with our upload schedule, we would both have more subscribers. It's just a matter of life sometimes gets in the way.
Yeah. Okay. So we have one more paragraph, and then we're done.
Oh, sweet joy.
Yeah. Well, I say that, but again, it's us. So our
It depends on how much stupidity per square unit there is in this article.
true. All right. So was the comment about Rocket Raccoon harmless? Yes, but it showed that many fans, particularly men, don't care about the lack of female representation in both the Marvel Cinematic Universe and the DCEU. Fun fact: the DCEU isn't even the official name; it's a name by an journalist.
Yeah. But Rachel, listen to me, my darling. If the situation was reversed and the majority of the MCU's characters were female, nobody would be caring about female representation or male representation either. Why? Because once again, identities are not teams, and a person's gender is not indicative of anything regarding their personality, or their ideas, or their identity, or anything like that. It is the most incidental and least important aspect of a person to most people. So that's why they don't care about female representation. And why they care about raccoon representation, if you want to call it that, is because raccoon representation actually pushes the MCU forward conceptually. What you seem to want is something that pushes your ideology or your morality onto things. You want something that pushes the boundaries of the MCU politically. And most people don't give a fuck about politics, especially not in entertainment. People go to entertainment for merit. People go to entertainment because art is inherently worthwhile for its own sake. And if you are part of an ideology that says art is not inherently valuable for its own sake, but is instead only valuable when it serves a political agenda, people are going to tell you, and by you I mean feminism, to fuck right off, because your refusal to acknowledge that merit exists actively impedes it. And that pisses everyone off.
Yep. Okay. She knows and void she knows and void again with all the argument. She knows and void it for me when she singles out men and stuff.
Well, there's that, but there's also I'm not going to say this is harmful, but I'm going to describe something that I consider to be harmful.
Right.
So Rachel, I have a question. You say that it's not harmful. So are you saying that everything you've described up until this point is not harmful? In which case, why do we care? Or are you saying that this isn't directly harmful, but that it causes unintentional harm? In which case, you are in fact saying that it is harmful. In which case, you have just been very disingenuous by saying that you don't find it harmful. You very much do find it harmful, and you've spent no less than an article elucidating all the various ways in which you find it harmful. So either stick to your stick to what you're actually saying and stop considering this harmful, or be honest and direct in your opinions and come out and say you do find this harmful. At which point, we're going to argue with you based on your definition of harm, because your definition of harm appears to be considerably lacking and is not substantive enough for anyone to want to do anything to change it. And if you can't, and if the harm that you're presenting is not substantive enough for anyone to want to change it, then either you must change people's minds through logic, reasoning, and other faculties of logic, or you must accept that people have a higher tolerance threshold than you do and find yourself the door. The doors are located here, 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 anywhere, as Robin Williams would say. Please find one and kindly make your exit. Or learn to love these things for all the reasons that I have described throughout this entire article piece.
Yes.
Please.
Okay.
I would much rather the world contain more nerds in general. So I would prefer that you find reasons to believe that merit exists and find worth in it. But if you're incapable of that or ideologically incapable of that, once again, there's the door.
Right. I don't know why they bring up the DCEU. I'm pretty sure most people are fine with Wonder Woman.
Yeah, let's see why she brought it up.
Oh, she doesn't explain it at all.
Oh. But anyway, let's continue. Maybe she makes a triumphant salvo at the end there. Maybe. I have my doubts.
But shish.
Yeah.
Okay, so I guess we just have to fight for our own rights over a talking raccoon, right?
No, because that raccoon had nothing to do with the removal of your rights, and what you define as the removal of your rights leaves everything wanting anyway.
Yeah.
That there, in the immortal words of Adam Savage, there's your problem. You perceive a digression of your rights where there appears to be none, and you can't logically or empirically demonstrate either, and you correlate neutrality or even meritocracy with oppression. And neither of those things do either of those things. There's your problem. That raccoon is doing nothing to remove your rights. They're just better at the game of merit than you.
Yeah.
And my solution for you, my darling, is to get better at the game of merit. And then any art that you make will be well received because people care about meritocracy in art. End of story.
Well, here in the parentheses, which I'm not, she says, and this hurts me to write because Rocket Raccoon is one of my favorite characters. I hate that men made me do this. You know the brain aneurysm you were saying I might have?
Has it finally happened?
No, it's just a headache, but I don't know, it might be close.
Rachel.
Like, for one thing, everything you've said up until this point is more saying that you were against Rocket Raccoon. Then you kind of backpedal saying that Rocket Raccoon's your favorite character.
But no. I'm willing to play the ball where it lies here.
Right.
Rachel. That last sentence, my darling, proves exactly my point. even though you have all these ideological reasons to dislike Rocket Raccoon, you can't do it. Do you want to know why? Because despite your protestations that merit is a social construct and that merit doesn't meaningfully exist, the merits of Rocket Raccoon as a character, his likability, his interest, his conceptual boundary pushing, etc., has made you like him. And that is the very essence of objectivity. When something is a certain way and you subjectively don't want it to be a certain way, that is the essence of objectivity, because objectivity is when something remains so regardless of whether you want it to be so or not. So, you have basically made an entire salvo against your own argument there. Now, on to the frankly bullshit thing you said after that, which is men did not make you do jack, diddly, and or squats, my darling. Male comedians have understood this for centuries, my darling. Men can't make women do shit. Women very much can make men do shit because women can deny men all kinds of things. When a man says their wife should sleep on the couch because they had an argument, the wife can call the police and have him thrown into fucking a detention center. When a woman says a man is confined to the couch until the argument is over, that man may never see his bed again. That is slightly an oversimplification and slightly a joke on my part, but do you see what I'm getting at? Men can't make women do shit, but women can very much make men do shit. Thus, women are free to do what they like, and men are hopefully, at least in certain spaces, allowed to do what they like. Your issue is that women are not feminists, and therefore many women do things that they like that you would rather they did not do for ideological reasons, and so do men. And I'm sorry, but in the game of merit versus morality, merit wins every time, or at least in a rational universe, it should. And also, why are you choosing your morality over the things you like? Because this is exactly the problem that people have with you. You say this thing is immoral, therefore you should disown it even though you like it. And you yourself, Rachel, are saying that. You are saying, I would very much like to continue liking this thing, but my religion and my morality say that I shouldn't. My ideology says that it's wrong, therefore I'm picking my ideology over the things that I actually enjoy or find meaning in. And that, my dear, what I think everyone who opposes feminism would like to tell you, that is a mistake. Choosing any ideology over the things that you like to do is just as wrong as a Christian who likes Wicca or who likes rock and roll picking Christianity over rock and roll or any number of other things they might like D&D. So if I had a person here who was a Christian and enjoyed D&D and rock and roll, but decided not to play D&D or rock and roll, because Christianity said it was wrong, you would very easily be able to tell them why that makes no sense. You should do what you would do regardless of what Christianity says.
Well,
And people are
I'm a Christian, so I mean, like, I'm not the Christian you're talking about, but you can kind of tell me, I guess.
yeah, but my point is there are sects of Christianity that would have people deny themselves D&D and rock and roll because something Satanism.
A lot of bullshit. I mean, about
Yeah,
that. So
yeah. My point is feminism essentially in this case is doing the same thing. Feminism is essentially telling you you shouldn't enjoy Rocket Raccoon because he's sexist, or you're feeding into the male power structure by doing it. And this is since there's a gender war, we need to make tactical decisions to um avoid giving men power. And I, as an anti-feminist, am going to tell you exactly what you would tell to the Christian who's denied rock and roll and D&D. Enjoy the thing that you like. If your ideology says otherwise, then maybe the ideology in question is not the perfect omnibenevolent thing you've always assumed it is. And maybe you should weigh your love of the MCU over your devotion to feminism. Because I can guarantee you that if you pick the MCU over feminism, I can almost guarantee you will be happier. Rachel.
Okay, so we are gonna have to kind of call it a night. I sent Dalton the link to the article we will be covering next week.
Yeah. And there might also be other ones depending on what I find throughout the week.
I'll be looking to, and we will also be covering Avengers Endgame next week because I have yet to see it.
Yep.
Probably see it tomorrow. So.
And not to step on Brainstormer's toes, but I have a few ideas about how it could have been a better movie. So we'll see if he also has ideas about how it could have been a better movie at the end of seeing it. So
yeah,
there's that. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I was less coherent. Less coherent in my rants today. It's just that I couldn't quite find the words I wanted to use, so I had to use more to get a point across.
That's okay. Sometimes when I try to rant, I end up repeating things. So, okay, for one thing, we always close it off with recommendations, and unfortunately, I have not been to a comic shop in a little over 2-3 months, and that's shame on my part. And probably within the week, I will get some comics.
Since Avengers Endgame is next week's topic, preemptively, if you guys haven't yet, you should definitely read the original Infinity Gauntlet storyline, and also there's a really great storyline that involves the Infinity Stones that they also took elements of for the movies, which is Jonathan Hickman's Infinity. So there's two recommendations.
Okay. Actually, I will recommend some. I don't know if I recommended this beforehand. But New 52's Earth 2 Justice Society. They're in volumes. I got these couple years back when I was still in high school. I read them and I like them. I mean, I don't think they're the same. They're not the same as the Golden Age characters, obviously, but I like them a lot. They're really cool. I think this is the one where they turned Alex Scott into a gay guy, which I'm fine with. It adds to the character.
The only reason I have a problem with it is because originally it was his son that was gay, and they basically deleted that entire character to just append gayness to Alan Scott.
That is okay. I don't think it's weird. I think that's a waste of opportunity there.
Yeah, agreed.
But yeah. So that's a recommendation for those. I think I have the whole series of when they started out in their journey as being the new heroes of Earth 2.
Mm-hmm.
And that's pretty much all I can recommend for now. I mean, I looked right before everyone came on to the stream and stuff. I looked through my filing cabinet of stuff, and there wasn't a lot I could recommend because I've either recommended it before or I don't think it should be recommended.
Here's another thing that could be recommended. For those that don't know, and this popped into my head recently because I've been watching the new Addams Family movie trailer. The Addams Family is based on a series of newspaper comic strips in the same vein as Charlie Brown. And you can get large sections of the original Addams Family comic strips in book format now. So there's something to keep in mind for that.
Mm-hmm.
If you're a fan of the 1960s series or the 90s animated series or the Raul Julia Christina Ricci movies from the 90s. If you like the Addams Family, you might want to give the original comics a try.
Yeah. Okay, so I guess that's everything, right?
Well, we could read some things from the chat. I don't think we didn't really interact
I've actually
much with.
I've been watching the whole chat, and well, I think they all took off after around 9, because the last thing was
Ah,
from Eric around 8:38.
what did he say? I remember I remember he said something about me, but I can't remember what
Well,
else he said.
before that, the thing you're talking about is not everyone can be 23 going on being around on forever like Dalton.
This is true, and then I believe he said, imagine
Try
a
to
world
imagine a
with.
world with more than one Dalton.
I think I would annoy myself, for the record, and that's a freebie. Eric can feel free to use that later. He can quote me on that. Dalton said he would annoy himself if there was more than one of him.
I mean, probably. I don't find you that annoying.
True, but you also don't know what goes on inside my head, whereas I do.
Ah. Though I would probably find it more entertaining to have two co-hosts.
But then we would have to fight over which one of us got to go on what rant.
Oh, I can see where that lies the problem. Yeah. Okay. So, anyone who has been watching this far, thank you, and to all we say good night.
Yes, and also hello to people who are watching this after the stream is no longer live.
Oh, hey, Eric is here. He says, What exactly does go on in that head, Dalton?"
Dark, twisted, Lovecraftian things, Eric. You don't want to know.
Yeah, you don't want to know what goes on inside my head either. Kind of like Dalton, but remove the Lovecraftian stuff. All right, so we bid all of you adieu.
Cheers, guys.